993-9494 or visit him online at retirementkey.com.
So at Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance, you're never going to have your claim denied because of lack of maintenance, because they are doing the maintaining for you. They're going to send workers out to your house 4 times a year to make sure everything's working properly. And the best part is Upkeep uses their own W-2 employees. A lot of their competition uses subcontractors, which means it takes longer to get someone out to your house if there's an issue. At Upkeep, they just bypass all of that and they treat their people great. Plus, you're going to be working with your home manager. This is your point person to help you through every step of the process. Most home warranty companies, you're going to call in, get a call center, talk to 5 or 6 different people over the course of a claim. Not at Upkeep. They have your one guy or gal that's going to help you out with everything, streamlining the process and making it super easy on you. To learn more, visit their website, upkeepstl.com. If you use the code DGS, you get $100 off your service. upkeepstl.com.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Because of coronavirus, seminar now online, live with America's hypnotist Mark Patrick. Live online seminar for the greater St. Louis area, Saturday, July 18th. Register now, only $49.99 guaranteed at markpatrickseminars.com.
Anton's Air Conditioning and Heating is looking to grow our team. Known for over-delivering excellence while serving the best clientele in the region. You would be proud to join the family. Anton's Air Conditioning and Heating, a Rheem Pro partner. Inquire today at antonshvac.com.
In uncertain times, your generosity makes a difference. Today, thanks to community donations, we're here to meet human needs without discrimination. The Salvation Army is helping those in need affected by COVID-19, for those whose wages have been lost, those who are in need of food or have no place to call home, and for so many others who desperately need help and hope in this time. Your donation today ensures no one is turned away or overlooked. To see how you can make a difference, visit salarmymidland.org and give today.
You can stream 97.1 FM Talk anytime. Visit radio.com or download the radio.com app for your phone so you can punch a button and be tuned in to 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Sid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Republicans are the party of freedom. Democrats are the party of socialism and worse. That's what's happened. The Democrat Party is a whole different deal.
That's the president there summing it up for you. And I got to say, I was going to start this whole show off today talking about Charles Barkley, but Brian Kilmeade did it again. And he talked about Charles Barkley last in his show. And since he's Brian Kilmeade, I will just bow out of the Charles Barkley thing for now, but I will be talking about Charles Barkley in a little bit. But listening to something that Burgess Owens just said on the Brian Kilmeade show, this is what Burgess Owens just said. Everything Dems are doing is about hopelessness. And that kind of made me stop what I was doing, lining stories up to talk to you about today here on the Annie Frey Show. And it made me think, I think that sums it up. I think that sums up the whole shebang. Everything that you are seeing right now, everything you're consuming, that weight that you have on your shoulders, even on a good day, it's a good day because you managed to, blind yourself to the realities that are around you. And chances are, if you're anything like me, you can distract yourself for only so long until you realize, okay, how do I need to prepare for the next shoe to drop? We are surrounded right now. The reason why this world that we're living in on July 13th here in the middle of 2020 feels so heavy is because we are being reminded of our ever living hopelessness. And it is a sad thing. The virus, massive heavy weight for people to bear. And you are made to feel hopeless. I know a lot of people think that the idea of wearing masks is, making you subservient to the government. I think that the idea of wearing a mask because you choose to, I choose to wear a mask when I go places because I have chosen to do it, not because, Lord Pritzker has told me to, check the record on that. It's because I'm choosing to. I've talked about the mask wearing thing regarding going to church. There are people who are in church with me who would not feel comfortable and not feel safe being in church if people were sitting in there not wearing a mask. So why in the world would I not wear a mask to make those people feel comfortable in church? So that's kind of been my foundation on it, but it's my choice. It's my decision. And that's what I've chosen to do, which is me, flexing on my freedom as much as anybody who's choosing to do differently because it's my choice. The idea of a scary virus that's out there, and folks, it is a scary virus. But the good thing about it is we know who it's the most scary for now. In the beginning of all of this, we had no idea who it was going to impact the most. We had no idea who was going to be majorly susceptible to this, how it was transferred from one place to the other. I remember I would get my email or my email. I would get my actual mail from my mailbox maybe once a week. And I would, because I'm too lazy, I didn't get gloves on. I just pull my sleeves down on my shirt and scoop the mail out of the mailbox. And then I would go sit it on the deep freeze in our freezer for a few days. And then I would go back and get it later. I'm not doing that now. I'm also not as scared now because I know who is at risk and who is not as at risk. And that's not to say that there are people who are more at risk in getting it. It's what happens when you do get it. I know that it is my responsibility to protect my 95-year-old grandmother, and it's my responsibility to protect my dear friends who have immunocompromised children. It's my job to do that. It is my civic responsibility to make sure that we protect them. I also know that if we are going to continue to address this coronavirus situation as the Democrats would have you address it, which is shut everything down, that a broken economy is going to hurt the well and the sick, both of them together. So there has to be something in the middle, and we have to be able to choose what we're going to do by ourselves. So when Burgess Owen says that everything the Dems are doing right now is about hopelessness, I understand that. You know why it's about hopelessness? Because we can, as Democrats and Republicans, almost always, I know, hold on to your butts here, agree on something. It's what the problem is. We always agree politically what the issue is. Let's take people being murdered in inner cities. That has to stop. You don't need to be a Democrat or Republican to acknowledge the fact that the danger that exists in poverty-stricken areas, that something needs to be done about it, that we need to be paying attention to it. Some might direct the question as to why are these places impoverished? What is being done to get them out of poverty? And then other people say guns should go away. And then they do a large sweep over everybody and say guns need to go away from everywhere. When you hear Burgess Owens say everything Dems are doing is about hopelessness, you need to understand that the Democratic solution to every problem and worry that you have is more government. And you need to understand that every governmental solution that is going to be provided is going to come from a Democrat, because Republicans are out there saying the government needs to get out of the way most of the times. Most of the time, what you are going to hear from a Republican, a real honest Republican candidate, is that you are the responsibility. You are what is great about this country, and you are what needs to come to the table to make whatever the problem is go away. And the government either needs to A, get out of your way to make it happen, or B, help you in a capacity to help yourself, which is why we have seen some of the unemployment benefits coming out of bipartisan groups of people. Because we're in a situation that is so large and so massive that there is some help that is needed to be provided from where? Your tax dollars. This is not Nancy Pelosi's checkbook that she's opening up. This is not Chuck Schumer's credit card that he's handing you. It's your money, folks. And you only pay taxes when you make money. Hopelessness, Democrats sell hopelessness to you in an effort that when you buy it, you will use it in a capacity where you cash it in for more Democratic control. It is a cycle, and it is very, very intentional. It is very frustrating to see the constant peddling of victim creating and victim blaming. And, you know, what we see with the race concern that we have right now, we have racial tensions in this country. We've always had racial tensions. That's not something that's new, but good grief, we've gotten a lot better at them, haven't we? Haven't we grown quite a bit as a country? I think we have. But we're going back and we're relitigating what the people who were fighting in the Civil War would pray that someday we would be at the point where we are right now, where men and women, white people and all non-white people would actually be looked at as equal. When I am looking at my Twitter feed and I am seeing NBA players who are going to play a season in, I don't know, over the course of like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that at Disney, they are being put up in accommodations that families would kill to have and never be able to afford. And they're posting pictures of one of them. I don't know who the athlete was, but one of them was saying something about comparing himself to a Ferrari and saying, like, when you hire a Ferrari, you got to feed the Ferrari like it's a Ferrari, not like it's a Chrysler. Well, excuse me, in my Chrysler Pacifica, my thing is just fine. And I would love to be staying in that room that you're in. If you want to see, like, here you have African-American athletes staying in ridiculously nice accommodations at Disney World that the rest of America would adore the opportunity to stay there. You have African-American NBA players talking about how they're a Ferrari and looking down their nose at staying at the Coronado at Disney World. And I guess in the next segment, we talk about oppression and how they are not looked at the same as white people. I mean, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot have the NBA having Black Lives Matter across the back of their jerseys and talking about oppression when their oppression is that they have to stay at a deluxe level resort at Disney World so they can make their millions of dollars. Give me a break. Like, it's over. It's done. You're out of touch. If we are going to have to listen to these kinds of messages from these people who are of very, very high society, it really loses the sting of what we're actually talking about and what actually does exist. And we need to understand that and call that out. We need to be willing to say, if, like I've said a million times on the show now, Black Lives Matter, it's a sentence. Of course they do. But if you're going to bait and switch words that mean something with an agenda that I have to listen to some NBA player shove down my throat while they're complaining about their oppressive conditions at Disney World, it's like the Twilight Zone's Twilight Zone. We are warped through Twilight Zones now, and I can't even recognize the world we're living in. We are supposed to be made to feel hopeless because the only hope that the Democratic Party wants to give is bigger and more government. The religion of the Democratic Party is government. They want you to put your hope and your faith in their government. And if you don't do it, you are evil. You are for what is terrible. You are whatever ist that they want to throw at you, a racist, a misogynist, a sexist. Those are scary things. So instead, you just keep your mouth shut and you don't speak up. We can work together for a better tomorrow. We can work to continue to eradicate sexism and racism that exist in our country right now because they still do exist. And I promise you, in 100 years, there's going to be a version of it that exists in 100 years from now. It's not going to go away, but it's our responsibility to make sure that we continue to work on it every day. We are a broken people. We need to constantly work to be better and be just massively generous with forgiveness. massively generous with forgiveness. That is the missing piece of the entire puzzle. Let's take a quick break because when we come back, Dr. Scott Hardeman is going to join us. He's a physician at Gateway ENT and also urgent specialist, and he has some coronavirus updates to give us. And I am looking forward to taking your questions. Ryan and I are going to be watching the questions on the Facebook Live and on the YouTube Live. So any coronavirus questions that you have, whether it's about statistics, if it's about mask wearing, whatever you want to ask, comment them on the Facebook Live at facebook.com/Annie Frey Show or the YouTube Live. Just type in Annie Frey, Frey, into YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and watch us there. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Are you nearing retirement and wondering when you can afford to retire? Are you concerned that you won't have enough income in retirement to live the same lifestyle as you are now? Are you also wondering how all the market volatility will affect your retirement? This is Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group, and we'd like to show you how to protect your retirement savings from any future losses and still participate in the market's growth. Call me now at 314-993-9494 for a free retirement review. We'll design your own personalized structured income plan that will show you exactly the type of retirement you could count on. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my best-selling book, The Boomer's Guide to a Worry-Free Retirement. This book covers everything I teach in our live events. I've been helping retirees and pre-retirees protect their retirement for 33 years. Call me now at 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com. Once again, that's 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com.
The VTAE Foundation is one of my, I'm just very, very passionate about this. And I do, a lot of you know that before I started talking about VTAE Foundation. It's one of my passions is being pro-life and working overtime to make sure that we give women the confidence, the resources, the research, the information, and the support to choose life. Because it's not just a baby in that room. There's a mother in there who is scared and alone, and we can be there for her. We can help her choose life. And the VTAE Foundation has made that their mission, which is why I'm excited to join them on that mission. If you can spare $5 a month, it can touch the lives of 60 women a year by connecting them with life-affirming local resources where there is help, compassion, and hope. Your $5 a month will truly save lives. Give what you can. If you can give more than $5 a month, please consider doing so. If you can only give $5 one time, please consider doing so. You can learn more at vtaefoundation.org.
At Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, our goal is to continue to serve you while protecting your home. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis knows day-to-day routines have changed in your homes and in your lives, and we will continue to put the safety of our customers and coworkers first. For the month of July, get our maintenance program for just $89.95. For up to 3 garage doors, go to overheaddoorstlouis.com or call us today at 314-781-5200 to schedule your appointment. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Window World. So Window World is a national company, but locally owned and operated here in St. Louis. Couple of North County boys, good people, good guys, just looking to do an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. So we only really have one big competitor. These are the guys that sell the $3,000 windows, negotiate them down to $2,000. You feel like a champ, but ours are still a fraction of that. For $2,000 even, you could do a whole house full of windows with Window World. We're one of only 2 window companies in the country that have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. We have J.D. Power and Associates vouching for us again, Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Home Advisor. Everyone loves Window World. So check them out at windowworld.com or call 314-993-1800. Make sure you mention me for special financing offers. They have a lifetime warranty, a lifetime guarantee. Once you pay for that window, you'll never spend another dime on it. That's windowworld.com.
If you're like me, you've been spending a lot of time at home. You may be noticing the scuffs and faded colors on your walls, the cracked, peeling paint on the outside of your home. Protect your home investment with quality painting from CertaPro Painters. They make your experience worry-free, starting with a free on-site or remote estimate. It's your choice. I did one from the comfort of my own home. It's quick, safe, and easy. You can trust them to get the job done right. Schedule your free estimate today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with the C.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds.
And we feel great.
Stop smoking or lose weight now. Live online interactive seminars with America's hypnotist Mark Patrick for the greater St. Louis area, Saturday, July 18th. Register now, only $49.99 guaranteed at markpatrickseminars.com.
Tomorrow's history is today's news. Keep up with everything that's happening in America in 2020. 97.1 FM Talk.
We do not slow the spread of COVID-19 with that rise of hospitalizations that you're seeing in Lubbock, with the increased death rate we're seeing in the state of Texas. The next step would have to be a lockdown. The last thing I want to do, the last thing anybody in Texas wants to do is to see another lockdown. Hence, the best thing everybody can do is do this thing that is inconvenient of wearing a face covering, knowing that it will keep your jobs open, your economy open, and your businesses open.
So that's the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, talking about the potential of another shutdown in Texas, because Texas is one of those places that we are seeing cases rising once again. Each Monday, we have Dr. Scott Hardeman on with us. He is a physician at Gateway ENT, also at Urgent Specialists. Go to urgentspecialists.com and learn about this really, really great urgent care in the area near you. And we're asking questions of Dr. Scott Hardeman that you have. So you can comment them on our Facebook Live. You can comment them on our YouTube Live. If you have any questions that you want to ask, go ahead and comment them. We'll add them in right here. Doctor, thank you for coming on with us again. It's great to have you back.
Thanks so much. Happy Monday.
Thank you. You as well. So we see surges in places like Texas, Florida. I think Arizona is one of them. I haven't heard the word surge necessarily associated with Missouri or Illinois. How do you feel about those locations that are seeing the surge, and how do Missouri and Illinois compare in your understanding?
Well, I think the places you mentioned, Texas, Arizona, to some degree California, Florida, of course, where the media and the focus has largely been over the past couple of weeks or so, they really didn't have that, quote, surge back in April, May timeframe, like we saw in New York, or really even to some degree in the St. Louis area, where we saw our numbers sort of reach that peak. So they're climbing towards that now. Places in Missouri and Illinois, we've been really pretty steady. We've had, obviously, it's in the news a lot. We've had an increase in numbers of cases, but hospitalizations have sort of held steady, kind of up, down from day to day. So we really haven't had that big spike, although there's been quite an uptick in just the number of positive cases as well. Fortunately, they've been less severe and not requiring as hospitalizations like they were before. So I think what we're just seeing is in certain places, we're starting to see them just hit their stride, their peak, like we had a while back.
Dr. Hardeman, in your professional opinion, since we're talking about localized surges around the country, United States is a big place. Seems like we had this big hit with New York, and the rest of the country kind of responded in March all the same way. Do you think that it would have been wiser if we had said, okay, well, that's happening in New York, we'll wait until it happens here for us to sort of respond and shut things down, instead of doing it as a blanket move?
It's a really great question. We knew so little about this in the big picture of things. I think from a modeling perspective, most of the country shutdown was based upon some epidemiologic models. As it's turned out, the vast majority of cases really fall in certain states and certain counties really across the country. And so I think it was an exercise to get prepared, not really sure what was coming. In hindsight, a more targeted approach would probably have been prudent. But it's awfully difficult to criticize when you see something new like this happen, to know for certain how will it actually play out. Certainly now, I think with the testing capacity we have, and see, for instance, New York is really in very good shape, and their daily data is just fantastic compared to where they were before. Not that it's gone from existence there, but certainly much better. And in places that had a pretty good surge before, obviously those numbers have continued to decline. So if we have to go that route, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of appetite, certainly among me or a lot of other people in the country that would really tolerate a complete shutdown again. But certainly a targeted approach to therapy with more testing and trying to isolate little pockets here or there, and just emphasize to people that a little bit of personal responsibility, that as you see cases bump up and testing get done, and certain age groups of people testing positive, do the right thing, isolate. A lot of people don't have symptoms. It's hard. I mean, it's mentally kind of a difficult thing to say. I tested positive, I feel 100% normal, or I just have the sniffles, to isolate yourself out and to try and slow the transmission a bit. But that's the type of behavior that if people can do that, it will really slow down transmission, and we'll see those numbers drop back off again.
We're speaking with Dr. Scott Hardeman, a physician who comes to us every Monday and discusses the coronavirus as we continue to push through it. I want to talk a little bit about the process of who needs to get tests, or how do you've mentioned there that there are a lot of people who are asymptomatic. If you were to contract the flu, something that we all understand a little bit more than coronavirus, unless you catch it in time, is my understanding, like you can go in and get Tamiflu, but other than that, you hydrate, you stay at home, you maybe take some ibuprofen if you need to, but you stay at home and you get better. And unless there are, certain things that happen that make you need to go get extra care from a hospital. Is this the way it is largely for coronavirus patients, where, you can get a test, but a test doesn't help you. It just tells you what you have. Like, who needs to go get tested? Who, if they feel uncomfortable, needs to just stay at home and keep to themselves and until they can get better? Like, what's your advice to those individuals who think, I might be feeling a little something?
Let me answer maybe two ways. Let me talk about the testing part first. So one of the tricky parts about this particular illness is that it has a little longer, we'll call it incubation period, for lack of a better description, from time of a significant exposure to the time that you would either A, test positive, or B, manifest symptoms. So 3 to 5, sometimes 7 days or so. There's a lot of talk about 14-day quarantines when you've had exposure, and that sort of works from the premise that you can develop symptoms out to 14 days. But if there's testing capacity, you can test someone 5 to 7 days into it and feel pretty confident if it's a quality test that they're going to be negative at that point, and then just closely monitor their symptoms going forward. So who needs to be tested? That's part of the issue is that right now there's a little bit of paranoia and panic out there that everyone who knows someone that had an exposure wants to be tested right then. And the tests are really, there's a lot of variability to them. They are accurate to a degree, but you have to put it in the whole clinical picture of things. So testing someone the day after they've had an exposure serves no purpose, because they'll be negative that day, and 5 days later they may be positive, and they get a false sense of security in there. So that's an educational issue, and physicians need to lead the charge on that and really try and help people understand what truly an exposure is. Was there source control, or was the person who has the infection wearing a mask? Were you as the individual wearing a mask? What was your distance? Was it a closed environment or not? And try and figure out who really is at risk in that situation. And then when to test, and test appropriately based upon that. So certainly symptomatic people with a pretty solid known exposure at the right period of time, it warrants testing. There's a lot of asymptomatic people being tested. A lot of outpatient surgical procedures or medical procedures are being done. And by and large, across the city and probably across the country, most of those patients are being screened with a COVID test prior to having their procedure done. So those are tests that they're sort of casting a net to try and pick up the 1s and 2s that turn up positive, so that person potentially, if they're asymptomatic, doesn't expose the healthcare team and require shutdown of an ambulatory surgery center, or imaging center, or hospital, OR, et cetera. So that's sort of the environment where people are being tested. To your question about influenza, it's a great talking point, because the influenza is an illness that, by and large, when you get it, you get sick. I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not, but people generally are not asymptomatic from flu. Some, of course, are more symptomatic than others. Some get very sick, some get mild symptoms, but pretty much everyone gets sick. There's a pretty narrow window of time to treat with Tamiflu, and so if you catch that usually within the first 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72, you can use Tamiflu to try and ease those symptoms. This is an illness that it seems as if a good chunk of the individuals who contract it have minimal to no symptoms, meaning 70 to 80%. Studies go anywhere from 60% up to over 80% really have no symptoms by and large, or minimal. And so that makes it a little tricky if they test positive, because again, like I said earlier, you don't really feel sick, and it's hard psychologically to pull yourself back, especially after 3 or 4 months of being in a lockdown situation like that. So now you have individuals out there who you have, or groups of the population, about 20 to 25% of people who are the sick individuals. And so, we shut down the economy, shut down things based upon an illness that by and large of those that get it, 20 to 25% are the ones that get sick. And we know that the vast majority of those who end up in hospitalizations or deaths tend to be in the over 65 population as well. So you pare all that down, and for the younger population, say 50 to 60 or less, the mortality rate is exceptionally low, and the symptoms tend to be fairly minimal. They're not zero. Obviously, this is a real thing, and you have to be very careful. But we also have better treatment options out there now, and things that you can do in supportive care as we understand more about this.
We're speaking with Dr. Scott Hardeman. He is a physician at Gateway ENT, also urgent specialist, online at urgentspecialist.com. What about, I've heard people have a significant concern if they go to get tested, whether they were to test positive or negative, but mostly if they were to test positive, who gets that information and what happens to it? Because I know people who are having to go get tested for their jobs because they work in healthcare facilities, but I know other people who were associated with those individuals who are getting tested at a healthcare facility and thinking that maybe they wanted to go get a test, but they were worried about the possibility of A, testing positive, and B, then that information is out there. What kind of information is given to people, and where does it go?
So there's, depending on the test location of where you go, if it's a city or state sanctioned testing location versus private testing facilities, the degree of information that's compiled ahead of time, there is some information that's necessary. Do you have a known exposure? Do you have any symptoms? Groups of people that you were associated with? That's really about it at most places. Certainly if there's large outbreaks where there's a big group of people that kind of get tested together, that information tends to be gathered a bit. But largely it's positives and negatives that are reported to the state. And that information then is shared. There's a number of data collecting sites that do that. And it takes a few days for all that to work its way into the system. So you're kind of looking at running averages that you see. So daily reports from today are probably reflective of a little bit of gathered information over the course of the past couple of days or so. But there are cases, obviously, if there's a big gathering, they talk about these, what they call a COVID party or something in Texas, where people said, let's just all get together and just see what happens, which is really shocking that someone would think to that level to do that. But they're going to gather that information. They're going to contact trace that, which is the whole premise of contact tracing, is trying to figure out there's large groups of people and how they can run that exercise out so that they can determine if they need to survey or keep an eye on other groups of individuals as a result of that.
So is it possible to test positive and keep it a secret, where you were to quarantine yourself for the 14 days and maybe identify, if you've been staying to yourself, maybe identify the few people you might have had contact with? Is it possible to do that? Or when you go to get a test somewhere, you're going to be providing some information to people that will be out?
I think you're going to be providing some information, but there's just no capacity within the state to run down or to track an individual. I mean, that's that personal responsibility level. If you test positive and you're a mom or a dad in a family, chances are that information doesn't make it any further other than there was a positive test. I am personally only aware of one group of individuals that were contacted by someone from the state wanting more information and or trying to find out if they were associated with a large gathering. The vast majority of people that get tested, it gets reported as a positive, and that's pretty much the way it ends at that
Sounds
point.
Like you should go get tested if you have questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have symptoms, for sure, I would not use that worry as a way to to not go get tested. And I understand where people are coming from. Obviously, there's some privacy issues and civil liberty issues that are clearly at stake in situations like this. But don't mistake that for good health measure, for sure.
Dr. Hardeman, one more quick question for you here. I don't know if you know how we're doing locally as far as hospital capacity goes, but I've seen reports that different cities in the country are experiencing, they're at capacity or they're close. Is that because we've delayed all non-essential surgeries and now those are happening alongside of COVID cases?
100% correct. Yeah. I mean, I think the reality is that hospitals and ICUs generally have a minimum threshold target that they look for when hospitals function appropriately and kind of makes sense for them financially. They're, 75 to 85% at capacity. So we come off the tail end of 3 months of no elective surgeries and procedure being done, not to mention the fact that people have been hiding out at home, not seeking medical care, and we ramp those things up. Yeah, I'd have to really dive into situations in certain cities and counties in Texas and Florida and Arizona right now, but a good chunk, as in 70% at one point of the ICU beds, they were saying were not occupied by COVID patients. They might be nearing capacity, but a lot of that has to do with non-COVID related issues, post-surgical patients or people with other health-related issues like that. As far as St. Louis goes, we're not at capacity. I mean, it's definitely, there's the most recent updates from the task force, 150 or so people, I think, hospitalized around the city. There's some under investigation here and there. Ventilatory capacity we're nowhere near that at this point. The numbers are still, despite upticks here and there and picking up more cases, is not a panic situation or even considered a surge in the metropolitan area across the state, certainly is large at this point.
All right, Dr. Scott is going to stick with us for another segment, and I see a lot of questions coming through on the Facebook live chat and on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat, so keep them coming. We will fire them off to him here in just a minute when we return. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
This is The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating over 50 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
The Cassens Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram summer clearance event is going on right now, which means you need to hop on 270, go north on 159 for a few miles, 2 miles maybe, and visit Cassens. So easy to find, whether you are in the Metro East area or you're looking for a great deal from great people at Cassens. Visit them, like I said, 270 and head, it depends on where you're coming from, obviously, but it's the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area, 159, north on 159, super simple to get to. Cassens' mission is to provide customers a pleasant shopping, buying, and service experience, all at a great value. That's why I am a repeat customer, and that's why I am confident that by lending some time here to talk to you about Cassens, if you're in the business right now for a new vehicle, that you don't want to leave Cassens out on that search. Buying a car is stressful, and our time purchasing a car with Cassens, our Chrysler Pacifica that we bought last fall, we have loved every single minute of it. We get it serviced there and everything. You can learn more online at cassenscan.com.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times with this social distancing, face mask wearing, staying at home world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that your retirement plans don't take a backseat. You've watched the market drop and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments and find out how you may be able to save big on taxes while the market is down. Find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call the team today to set up a meeting, 314-373-1598, Compass Retirement Solutions, 314-373-1598. And for more on retirement planning, listen to Rethinking Retirement, Saturdays at 8 and 4 and Sundays at 11. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Compass Retirement Solutions does not provide tax advice.
Does Eric Wolf have any integrity? Can you believe the lies he's spewing about Bill Eigel?
Well, what do you expect? Eric Wolf is a trial attorney and criminal defense lawyer.
Did you know Bill Eigel is the only candidate in this race endorsed by Missouri Right to Life?
I saw that. Bill Eigel is the most conservative member of the Missouri State Senate. He's 100% pro-life and is fighting to make sure Planned Parenthood never gets a dime from taxpayers.
Bill Eigel has always been the taxpayer's best friend. Bill Eigel fought for and passed the largest income tax cut in Missouri's history.
That's right. Bill Eigel is also fighting to end the personal property tax, and he voted to cut taxes for small businesses.
I'm most proud of Bill Eigel's love for our nation. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran who has always defended our freedom, including the Second Amendment.
So Eric Wolf is a liberal criminal lawyer trying to take on proven conservative veteran Bill Eigel.
Ooh, that makes things easy. Bill Eigel is the conservative choice for state senate.
Paid for by Believe in Life and Liberty. Bill Pack, Mandy Lane Buter, Treasurer.
This is where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Join the conversation digitally. Download the radio.com app so you can live stream from anywhere.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for joining us. It is Monday, and we've got Dr. Scott Hardeman here on the line with us answering your coronavirus questions. And I've got a whole bunch of them from listeners here. Here's the first one I've got for you, Doctor. This is from Patrick on our Facebook Live. Why is it they stick a swab all the way up your nostril to get a test when a drop of saliva in the air can give you the virus? I think that's a fair
That's a fair question.
Yeah. So tell us how that can be the case.
So the virus gains access largely through the nasal or oral cavity with some potential for contamination to the mucous membranes of the eye. It tends to hang there and replicate until the point where it moves down to the respiratory tree into the lungs, where obviously most of the damage seems to occur from this illness, at least initially on. So when you cough, of course, you're moving secretions out of those areas, or sneezing certainly too, moving secretions out of the area. Getting a sample, right now samples are largely taken from nasal cavity or the front part of your nose, and nasopharynx, which is the back part of the nose where they're sticking that swab, it feels like, to your brain. And then you can use saliva as well. So saliva has really grown in popularity recently because of a study out of Yale that talked about how the viral load was easily detectable. It's certainly a heck of a lot easier for patients to do an oral swab or producing saliva or even sputum or mucus from the back of your throat can see that as well. So any of those sources are legitimate. The theory is that if you can get enough of a sample from wherever you go, that you'll have enough viral load to be able to identify that.
Dr. Hardeman, a question from Joseph on our Facebook page. Is the spread so extensive now that there's really no mitigation or control? Is it beyond trying to control it?
No, I think, still the number of, control is an interesting question because it's what exactly defines that. We're moving down this path of hoping to have a vaccine, hoping to have some level of herd immunity. At what percentage does that herd immunity actually hit? Still right now in the state of Missouri, of all the people being tested, and there's a lot of tests being done. I think to date we've tested 535,000 people or so, give or take a bit. And right now, the percentages that are positive are only around 5.5 to 5.7%. So again, some patients have symptoms, some patients don't have symptoms. So the hit rate with testing sort of shows us that really, as a big percentage of those being tested, it's still pretty low. So it's not. I mean, we certainly even haven't hit any numbers of capacity to get to 10% of our population. And there is some evidence out there, some studies that are popping up from place to place now that perhaps the number of people who've had this and or currently have it who are asymptomatic is maybe 8 to 10 times higher than what we normally see. But again, the idea is to slow down the transmission of it enough that it, A, doesn't overwhelm the healthcare system, and B, that allows us to quickly identify those that are most vulnerable and try and protect them, meaning the older individuals and those with other health-related issues. Sweden, we've talked about this a long time ago. Sweden took a totally different approach to this, just inching towards herd immunity. So they had a different approach where they just left society open, and they saw a pretty dramatic increase. But based upon their projections now, they made a statement that their deaths would probably peak out around 5,000 to 6,000 based upon their population, that they felt like that once about 10 to 15% of their population became positive, that it would sort of start to burn itself out. And if the data and the information is coming through is correct, it seems like that's the case. I think their total, I haven't looked today, but over the weekend, I think it was around 5,500 or so fatalities associated with this, which would, and it's been pretty stable over a period of time. So that would imply that perhaps you can achieve some level of maybe not true herd immunity, but slowing the transmission naturally with less of the population becoming infected. And it would be interesting to see what happens out of New York. Obviously, there's some pretty strict shutdown methods in place still in New York, but their numbers have been very stable or decreasing substantially. And, we don't really know what the exact percentage of population that's been infected there actually is at this point, just because it seems like there's less people getting sick currently. But it's not too late. I think we're going to be with this for a while. We just need to keep our heads about us and not be fearful of this, but respect the illness itself and understand who needs to be tested and how to care for those that are most vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading from Fox News right now that New York City has reported its first day in nearly 4 months without a single coronavirus death. That's something to be celebrated. Brad on our YouTube live, the Anti-Fry YouTube page right now says that he has a question. I heard Dr. Fauci mention that it's unlikely we will reach herd immunity. Isn't that the purpose of a vaccine, to assist in reaching herd immunity?
It is. There's a lot of conflicting information about vaccines. So some studies came out last week that said that there was some very promising evidence with some of the vaccine studies initially that the level of neutralizing antibodies that were produced by the vaccine in early phase studies were substantially high. And that makes you feel good that there is potentially options for a vaccine. It still has to be clearly tested and made sure it's safe and achieves the desired goal. But then, you hear on the other side that there's evidence that perhaps the vaccine will only be about 70% effective. And, we see that with influenza, and that there's some misses from year to year on the level of immunity that people achieve in the community too. So herd immunity naturally, generally we talk about that just from an epidemiologic perspective, at about 60 to 70% of the population would need to have some level of immunity to this. But if what we're trying to really do is slow down the transmission of it to the point that we can, again, isolate people and protect and, pick up case clusters here and there, you may not have to get to full herd immunity to do that. Our capacity to test and to isolate are a lot better today than they were a few months ago, when it seemed like our only real hope was to, somehow achieve herd immunity either through natural selection or through a vaccine.
Rob has a question for Dr. Hardeman. He says, I'm an elementary teacher, likely going back to work in the fall. Considering we take all necessary precautions, what are the chances a third grader would give me the virus?
This is a great topic to talk about right now, timely-wise, as schools are really desperately trying to figure out a path forward. So there is a lot of evidence now. American Academy of Pediatrics is strongly urging schools reopen, although they've walked back a little bit of that and said to exercise some caution. There's two parts to that. One, of course, is protecting the kids, and two is protecting the staff, the teachers, and everyone else that works at the school. It's an important thing to kind of identify now that there hasn't been a tremendous amount of evidence yet that kids are the vectors for this that are giving it to older individuals. In fact, I read a study last week that really talked strongly about the fact that in family clusters that it seemed like the parents were the ones testing positive, and later on the kids tested positive. You couple that with the fact that children largely don't get overly ill with this, whether that's through some difference in their immune system early on that protects them, or from potential cross-reactivity, some other coronavirus that they're seeing. It's a different perspective altogether. So the question there, I think, would be is you got to protect the teachers as well, but it seems like that the kids are not transmitting this to the older adult population as much as what was initially thought, which is why the schools were shut down very quickly early on. So I think schools are looking for a path forward. Most that I'm affiliated with and have talked with are ones that have a plan, a contingency plan in place that they're opening, and they have good concept in place of how they're going to survey that, monitor the kids, and then can move from there to some sort of virtual learning or hybrid model if necessary. But I think that there's emerging evidence all the time, and it seems to be growing, that the kids are not necessarily the ones that are the vectors for this. And I would just couple that with the fact that really daycares have stayed open this entire time. And while we've heard of an awful lot of outbreaks in nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities, which has been incredibly lethal and very sad to see that happen, we haven't heard of any outbreaks in child care facilities like that among the staff or among the kids. And other countries around the world have been able to keep their schools open with some good measures in place and have done well with the kids.
I want to ask you a follow-up question on that, and it's because I'm going to have a lawyer coming on in the next hour who's going to be talking about the Illinois High School Sports Association's regulations for resuming athletics, school sports. They have said that they want all students to be wearing masks at all time. If you're playing basketball, if you're playing volleyball in a gym, you're going to have to do the whole thing in a mask. And I have personally friends who have kids of this age who are very concerned about their asthmatic children wearing a mask while competing at this level. It's a pretty intense level. This isn't like fourth grade Y volleyball. Does it concern you at all to think about asking these student athletes to play at that high competitive level while wearing a mask the entire time?
To be honest, I just don't think that's really practical. Exercising at that capacity, if you can move air back and forth through the mask that quickly enough that it's not going to impede your athletic performance. The question is, what's really the reliability of that mask and stopping the transmission of aerosolized viral particles or even secretions for that matter. It's a really tough situation because I think all these kids want to go back, they want to play, they want to do things, but we're going to drive ourselves purely nutty because every time a kid tests positive on a team, every team member is going to be tested, every coach is going to be tested, and every time that happens, all throughout the fall sports season or winter for that matter too, it's going to be an ongoing battle to try and determine what do we do now? What do we do now? So it's a good question. I mean, I'm not sure really how that's practical. I understand why people would want to do it. Everyone's trying anything they can to try and slow the transmission of this down, but in a practical sense, it's going to be awfully difficult for kids. And I think it gives people a little bit of a false sense of security, too. I mean, you can imagine playing sports with a mask on and you're sweating. And, of course, all these masks lose their effectiveness when they get wet. And you're constantly touching your face and you've just coughed into your mask and now you've contaminated your hands and you're touching other things. There comes that point where you think, how far do you take this? And is it really doing the good that it was thought to do to begin with?
I have like 10 seconds left here, but if you if you have COVID-19, how long are you contagious?
Well, initially I'd said you can shed virus out to 30 to 45 days or so afterwards, but that doesn't necessarily imply that that's an active virus that could infect you. So most of the facilities, healthcare places, if you've had a fever and are no longer febrile for about 72 hours or so, you can return to work with a mask on. So if you're no longer have symptoms, usually 3 to 5 days, maybe 7 days after that, the risk of transmitting that to someone else is awfully low at that point.
All right, Dr. Scott Hardeman, I want everyone to go check out urgentspecialist.com. It's the best in urgent care in the St. Louis metro area. Go check it out. And if you need an ENT, you might be able to see him because they have specialists there ready to go. Great to talk to you again, as always, and always the good straight up information. People appreciate it so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. If you missed part of this conversation, we will be posting it shortly, and you can go back and listen to all the questions, the coronavirus questions that were posed by you, the listener, and the ones that Ryan and I had as well. You can do that by listening to us on radio.com. You can hit the rewind feature, and you can just wait, and Katie will post it at 971talk.com/Annie, and also she'll share it to the Facebook page. Quick break. When we come back, Stephen Moore is going to join us, and I'm going to talk to Thomas DeVore, that attorney, the one who sued the governor on behalf of Darren Bailey. Now he's taking on the IHSA, and you're going to want to be around for that at 1:25. Don't go anywhere. Back in a minute.
As your employees are transitioning back to work, you want to provide a safe environment for them to work in. Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning has been servicing buildings and facilities throughout the metro for over 20 years. Jan Pro offers a range of disinfecting services that can eliminate 99.9% of germs that spread common illness and contagions. Has no adverse effects to the environment, staff, or visitors. For a no-obligation quote, contact Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com. That's jan-pro.com. Commercial cleaning for your office or facility. It's Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com.
Imagine two identical homes on the same street that sold in the same week for $400,000. One seller used a realtor who charged 7%. The other listed with Straight Realty for only 4%, saving $12,000. Hi, my name is Christina Straight with Straight Realty. Don't be fooled by high commissions. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. 314-441 all fours.
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food. Crazy. enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Your habits are out of control. With hypnosis, create new healthy habits. Join America's hypnotist Mark Patrick live online interactive weight loss or stop smoking hypnosis seminar. Only $49.99 for the greater St. Louis area on Saturday, July 18th in the comfort and safety of your own home. Go to markpatrickseminars.com and
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
Pointing fingers at a top health expert. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Some members of the Trump administration are criticizing Dr. Anthony Fauci for his views on coronavirus.
Peter Navarro, the president's trade advisor, criticizing in a statement Dr. Anthony Fauci, the world's leading expert on infectious diseases, writing, Dr. Fauci has a good bedside manner with the public, but he has been wrong about everything I have ever interacted with him on. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany on Fox and Friends gave her own take on Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's one member of a team, but rest assured his viewpoint is represented and the information gets to the president through the task force.
Fauci, a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, has not briefed the president in at least 2 months and has not seen him in person at the White House since June 2nd.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. U.S. coronavirus deaths have now topped 135,000. The number of confirmed cases in the country has risen to 3.3 million as dozens of states see a rise in new infections. Growing concerns over the rise in COVID-19 cases, with Florida reporting an all-time high number of infections.
The number of known cases of coronavirus in Florida rose by some 15,000 on Sunday. Governor Ron DeSantis says in line with more people being tested in the state.
If you test 200,000 people at a 3% rate, you're going to get more cases than if you test 100,000 people at that.
About 12% of the state's population has now been tested, some 18,000 hospitalized, though the state is not reporting recoveries.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Officials in Ventura County, California say they found a body in the lake where a search has been underway for Glee actress Naya Rivera. The 33-year-old disappeared on July 8th after renting a boat with her 4-year-old son. He was found safe on board. America is listening to Fox News.
From faulty breakers to broken windows to leaky pipes, roofs, and water heaters, homes and businesses around the country can't work until the pros do. That's why Lowe's created credit programs that work for pros. With everyday 5% savings on eligible purchases, plus through October 31st, 60 days promotional financing on your Lowe's business account or extended terms on eligible account receivables. Learn more in-store or online at lowesforpros.com. Putting money back in your pocket. Just one more reason Lowe's is the new home for pros. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only.
It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will be ready to award $7,000 a week for life. That's $7,000 a week, week after week, for life. Don't miss your last chance to win. Go to PCH.com and enter before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/26. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The weather stays pretty nice on this Monday afternoon around St. Louis. Lots of sunshine, okay humidity levels with the northwest flow. 89-90 will do it for the high today. Tonight, clear skies, 80s this evening. The morning is fine on Tuesday, partly sunny skies. Wednesday, the heat really gets turned on, but so do scattered thunderstorms. I think the best chance for rain this week will be Wednesday into Wednesday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
Lakeside Renovation and Design is your interior and exterior home transformation stop. If you are looking at just redoing the outside of your home with some new siding, have you considered James Hardie siding? If you have, you need to go to Lakeside Renovation and Design because they are the experts in the St. Louis Metro East area in James Hardie siding. If you haven't considered James Hardie siding, I'd encourage you to go online to lakesidерenovationanddesign.com and see what they can do with James Hardie siding. It is a showstopper of a transformation that can be done to your home, and Lakeside is the place to go. They are super creative. So if you have an idea, if you know exactly what you want, go to Lakeside. If you have an idea but want a little bit of help, they are the pros and they can help you every step of the way. You won't be disappointed in the quality of the product and of the service and of the care of your home when you put it in the hands of Lakeside. They've prided themselves on doing it the right way, doing it the kind way with great people, being in business for 22 years. You can find them online at lakesidерenovationanddesign.com.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went, and guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Hypnosis designed to work without anxiety, irritability, or weight gain. Because of coronavirus, seminar now online, live with America's hypnotist Mark Patrick, in the comfort and safety of your living room. Live online seminar for the greater St. Louis area will be held live Saturday, July 18th. Register now, only $49.99 guaranteed at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hey, home buyer, this is Tammy with Tammy Mitchell Hines & Company Real Estate in the Metro East. Let's face it, life is busy. Who has hours to sift through homes on the internet? Leave that to us. We are your personal real estate experts. We can let you know as soon as a home hits the market that would be perfect for you. I've been selling homes for over 22 years, and helping buyers find the perfect home is so exciting. Let us help you move today. Go to calltammy.com. That's calltammy.com.
At Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, our goal is to continue to serve you while protecting your home. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis knows day-to-day routines have changed in your homes and in your lives, and we will continue to put the safety of our customers and coworkers first. Call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis today and get 18 months 0% interest on your new garage door for qualified buyers. Go to overheaddoorstlouis.com or call us today at 314-781-5200. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
For news, entertainment, and information with perspective, national and local. Keep it here or download the app and stream anytime. 97.1 FM Talk at radio.com. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
But we'll have to find common ground to pass legislation that now let me just say this. They have spent the Fed has spent trillions of dollars bolstering the stock market. We think we should spend trillions of dollars bolstering the American people.
Okay, Madam Secretary. So Nancy Pelosi's ready to spend trillions of dollars as if they didn't just spend trillions of dollars trying to bolster the economy and the middle class. I can't wait to have my conversation every week here with Stephen Moore, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. And I give you Nancy Pelosi and her inherent need to spend the money that she takes out of my pocket and your pocket and the listener's pocket. What do you think about the speaker's plan there to bolster the economy?
Well, Annie, good to be with you again. The speaker's plan, which is $3 trillion,
catastrophic for the economy. It would increase one of the things that would do, which would be very negative, is it would expand these and extend these unemployment benefits. And we all want to help people that are unemployed. And we have a system in place called the unemployment insurance system. But under the Pelosi plan, 3 out of 4 workers are going to get paid more for not going back to work than going back on the job. That will prevent us from having a recovery. We cannot allow that to happen. We estimate that will cost the economy 8 to 10 million jobs if Pelosi prevails on that. So that's not a stimulus to the economy. It's a destimulus. It's preventing and discouraging people from going back to work. I think that we ought to do the payroll tax cut instead, so that rewards people from going back to work. It rewards them in the form of a higher paycheck. I don't think there's anybody out there who would complain too much if they got a 7% increase in their paycheck next week. That's what everybody would get under that plan that Trump is promoting. So the next few weeks are going to be really critical in terms of whether they get this plan right or wrong. I actually think that the president's chances of getting reelected are heavily impacted by whether he gets this phase 4 plan right.
Even more, since you mentioned the unemployment benefit extra $600 a week, which is due to end at the end of this month, I'm seeing, according to Forbes, that some Republicans are talking about a return to work bonus of $450 a week instead of the unemployment benefit. That makes no sense to me. Please explain.
Well, look, I support, as I just said, look here. If I were the king and I could just wave a wand and put in place the right policies, you know what I would do? I would do the suspension of the payroll tax for the rest of the year for every one of the 20 million small businesses in this country and every worker in America. So you get that extra impetus to grow the economy, expand employment. And then I would provide a liability shield for every employer so they don't get sued by the trial lawyers every time someone gets sick, or you're never going to get people back. The trial lawyers think they can win these multi-million-dollar lawsuits every time someone gets coronavirus. And if that happens, employers are never going to hire any more workers. So you got to provide a shield so that you can only recover if your employer acted in a negligent way. But if you just did those two things, we'd be fine. We don't need to expand the unemployment insurance. We don't need to send everybody a $1,200 check. That's called dropping $100 bills out of helicopter windows. And we, on this issue of these bonus checks for going back to work, do I like the idea? No, I don't like the idea. But you know what? It's better to give people a bonus for going back to work than what Pelosi wants, which is a bonus for not going back to work.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these proposals that are being put out there. I guess the House passed a $1,200 per person in the House, up to $6,000 that would go out to people, I guess, with the same qualifications that the first stimulus went out. And then I saw that it was alleged that Mitch McConnell was saying, well, we'll cap it at people who make $40,000. I feel like no matter how you go about this, you're kind of valuing different kinds of workers in different ways. And I think that that's problematic for the Americans who are out of work right now. I want to help them, but I think that the way we help them is we get them back in their jobs. And the people who are working and who are making money, who are paying the taxes that are going to be funding all of these things, I find it very dangerous to be writing checks and handing out money to some people and not others, which is why I think your payroll tax cut is a great idea.
Well, you are exactly right, Annie. We cannot encourage people not to work. And that's what this, I think maybe Pelosi is intentionally trying to undermine the American economy. Don't you? I mean, why would she? Isn't it suspicious that she wants this policy in place through the end of January, until after the election is over, and so that we can get people back to jobs after the election. But you're so right about this. I mean, I didn't get a $1,200 check. I work hard. My family works hard. Why don't we get money? But the people who aren't working do get $1,200. So I think we have to go. You know what the most important thing is? By far the most important thing? Open up the stores. Open up the economy. Stop this nonsense of lockdowns. I just put out a study. People can look at it on our Committee to Unleash Prosperity website. It shows unequivocally and undeniably that the states, you know what states have the strictest lockdowns?
Democratic really run states.
New York. Yeah. I'll name them for you. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, Rhode Island.
Yeah,
what do all those states have in common? They have Democratic governors. And guess what? Every single one of those states had very, very, very high rates of death from coronavirus. Whereas states that didn't shut down, states like Iowa, states like Missouri, states like North Dakota, states like Idaho did not have high death rates. And by the way, even with what's happening in Florida and Arizona, where you're seeing a spike up in cases, their death rates are still 1/10 as high as they were in New York. And these liberals are running around saying we should be more like Andrew Cuomo in New York. I'm like, what are they talking about? New York has a 10 times higher rate than the vast majority of other states of death.
Stephen Moore, you mentioned that liability exemption. That's fascinating to me that Congress is going to take that on. Do you think there are businesses or maybe even full industries? I've talked to friends in the film industry who said they're not working at all because everybody's just waiting because everybody's afraid that they're going to get sued for coronavirus issues. Do you think that there are maybe even full industries who are waiting for that legislation to pass so that they can reopen?
Yeah. It's a big problem. I mean, I talk to employers all the time, and what employers are telling me, I mean, folks, these are people who hire workers. I know the liberals don't like employers because they think they're, quote, rich. But if you don't have employers, you don't have jobs, right? And what they're telling me is two things. Number one, they are very worried about the lawsuits that you were just talking about. If somebody, gets coronavirus, even if the employer isn't responsible, the lawyers are going to slap them with a $5 million lawsuit, and the insurance company say, "Oh, just pay them $1 million and make it go away." That's a huge cost to employers. But here's the other thing that's so amazing. I mean, and this shows how stupid our government is, and the dumb things that we do when we have a crisis. So we now have 25 million unemployed Americans because of the lockdown of our economy. 25 million Americans out of jobs. But you know what employers are telling me? They can't find the workers to come back on the job. Now, why won't workers come back on the job? Because Nancy Pelosi insisted on a policy that pays 3 out of 4 workers more money to stay home. And by the way, how is that even fair to the heroes of the American economy, the people who are working? The immigrants who are going, working and doing the service jobs, and the people who are actually keeping the economy going, the people at companies like Amazon and FedEx, and the people who are delivering stuff, and the people who are working in the grocery stores, and the people who are collecting our garbage and keep our economy functioning. They're the heroes of the economy. And wait a minute, they're getting paid less than people who are sitting home?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Americans see that. They know that it's ridiculous.
I think so, yeah.
I want to play this clip real quick from Jason Chaffetz talking about if Joe Biden were to get elected, his tax.
What Joe Biden stands for is he wants to raise taxes. Believe him, he's going to raise your taxes, and he wants to expand government. He wants to grow government. The liberals, the Democrats, they believe that more government will solve more of our problems, and it's just a contraction of liberty. When you do that, it is fundamentally wrong. But it is exactly what they will do. And you should believe Joe Biden when he says, yeah, I'm going to raise your taxes and give you more government.
So I bet you agree with Jason Chaffetz, but I want to give you the opportunity to tell us to what degree will Joe Biden affect the tax responsibility that each of us working folks will have if he were to get elected?
Yeah. So let me start by saying, right before I got on your radio show this afternoon, I was doing a Zoom conference or a global conference on what's happening around the globe. And they asked me to talk about the United States, and somebody talked about, what's happening in Latin America, and somebody else talked about Europe and Asia and so on. And what was so interesting about this is that if you look throughout history, when you have great economic booms around the world, remember, you and I are old enough to remember the Reagan-Thatcher boom when, the United States elected Ronald Reagan, who believed in liberty and free markets, and Margaret Thatcher turned around Britain. And when that happened, the rest of the world went towards freedom. What worries me is that if we elect, by the way, you're not electing Joe Biden, you're electing the left in America, leftists. Who do believe in much higher taxes and much bigger government. And not only will we absolutely cripple the American economy and cripple our own freedoms, but we'll be doing such a disservice to everyone around the planet because they take Americans' lead. In other words, what I'm saying, Annie, is if we go left and I pray every night. I say my prayers. I can't even sleep at night thinking about how bad it will be if we allow these leftist mobs to take over our government, because that's what will happen. And not only will it cripple America's economy, it will cripple freedom and free markets around the world.
Yeah, we definitely have to get our hands around this and make sure that we are taking care of our country. And sometimes that means at the behest of who we elect in the government, because the expansion of government has been for the last few decades has been a bipartisan problem, unfortunately.
But by the way, this is not going, just so people understand. I mean, Joe Biden is openly running. I mean, most of the time liberals, lie about what they do, and then they come in and raise taxes. Joe, I got to give him credit. He's not lying. He's telling us exactly what he's going to do. He's told us, if you own stock, you're going to get creamed. He's going to raise the capital gains tax by almost 50%. He's going to raise the tax on American companies, and that means the people who own the companies, which are the shareholders. He also wants to raise the estate tax by 40%. 40%, the death tax. We should get rid of the death tax. It's not fair to tax people when they die. And not only does he want to keep it, he wants to raise it by 40%. That will kill the stock market. I mean, this is very dangerous agenda. He wants to kill the oil and gas industry in the United States. He admits it. He's not beating around the bush, folks. Listen to what he is saying and question yourself. Say, is this going to be good? I can't think of one thing in his plan, Annie. One thing in his plan, which has 15 parts, that is good for the economy. Not one.
Yeah, and we will suffer and likely quickly. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for coming on here. I want to encourage people to check out the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Just looking at the website a little bit here, sounds like you got a lot of good partners there, and we're hoping for something positive.
Thank you for having me, Eddie. By the way, Eddie, I don't want to be a downer, because you know what? Donald Trump is going to win this election because the American people are not going to vote for the left-wing mob to take over our country. I really believe that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Stephen Moore.
Okay.
The confidence that you give is definitely something I appreciate. Thank you so much.
We're going to have to work. We have to work, Anthony.
Yep, absolutely. And knowing the truth and knowing what's at stake is part of it. Stephen Moore, a visiting fellow at Heritage Foundation, also with Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Thank you for coming on here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Thomas DeVore is going to be on the show with us. Thomas DeVore is that lawyer who sued the Governor Pritzker. I don't know if you've seen some of the regulations that the IHSA has put out for student athletes in the state of Illinois, but I have many people that are friends of mine, that are acquaintances of mine, that are very concerned about what is being relegated to these poor student athletes who are going to have to compete under some strict restrictions. I'll talk to Thomas DeVore about the action he's taking against the IHSA when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
I'm gonna call up that old boy.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
I'm gonna take him into town, follow him around for everyone to see.
Curtis and the whole staff at Complete Auto Body and Repair want to thank everyone for using them for their services. They are the leaders in the industry and always strive to be the best, so they now offer no-contact touchless auto repair. That means when you drop your keys off, they will sanitize your keys and fob. Technicians will sanitize before and after service. In addition, all repair authorizations will be done digitally after service. Your safety is the utmost importance to them as they sanitize their shops several times a day. They will even give you complimentary pickup and delivery via thetheir towing partner, A2B Towing, and $150 off all hail repairs. To put it simply, they offer the complete experience. There are a wide variety of companies that can take care of your car and claim to go the extra mile, but how many of them follow through after you hand them your keys? This is where they show you Complete's mission. They are a family and will serve you as if you were one of their own. With 5 convenient locations, others can't compete with Complete. CompleteAB.com.
Estate planning is complicated, and it's kind of nerve-wracking because it's something that you kind of just do once and then you tweak it along the way, I suppose. But the initial get it going stuff, that's just not really something that's front of mind, I want you to consider reaching out to Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law, because these are experts. They understand that you may know nothing about what you need to do. They know the questions to help you ask the questions that are specific to your certain circumstances. They understand that every family, every couple, every individual that comes across and has that consultation, that initial consultation with them, has different wants and needs and circumstances, and they can accommodate that each and every time. Get a free consultation by calling 636-946-7899. That's 636-946-7899. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you give them a call. Get set up now. Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law. Online at beckelderlaw.com.
It's one thing to be stuck in your house due to COVID-19. It's another thing to be stuck with a house. We have good news for homeowners listening throughout St. Louis. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is still buying houses. More importantly, we offer sellers a completely virtual selling process that maintains social distancing standards. Sell your home now. Call Chris today and get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call 314-782-7000. Can't collect rent? Not a problem. We buy My Tenant Won't Pay Me the Rent houses as well as vacant houses. We buy houses as is and deal with any situation. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call Chris today and get your house sold. 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks has been the go-to for fences, decks, and sunrooms for nearly 50 years. The explanation is simple: our unwavering dedication to our core principles of quality, service, and affordability. STL Fenceworks says quality. It's in our people and products, like Wolf Decking, Ameristar Ornamental Fence, and MVP Vinyl Fence. American-made, committed to excellence. STL Fenceworks embodies service from first contact through project completion. It's an enhanced customer experience due to our professional staff. And STL Fenceworks delivers affordability through volume purchasing, low overhead, and 50 years working knowledge. We deliver more than our competition for less. STL Fenceworks is the confluence of these principles, and that's value added to you. Now more than ever, we intend to exceed your expectations and deliver your backyard vision through our timeless, quality-first approach at an affordable cost with the utmost in service, craftsmanship, and professionalism. If you need a fence, deck, or sunroom, the solution is STL Fenceworks. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray
on 97.1 FM Talk, powered by Air Comfort Service.
Used to keep it cool, used to be a fool, all about the bounce in my step. Watch it on the news, what you gonna do? I could hit refresh and forget. Used to keep it cool.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for joining us. Just got done speaking with Stephen Moore about trying to get our economy back on track and, of course, what's at stake in November. If you missed that, check out the podcast. Just type in Annie Frey Show podcast in your search engine, or you can go straight to radio.com and subscribe to us there. It'd be great. I want to get our guest on here right away because I've got a lot of people who are asking me questions about Illinois sports and the IHSA restrictions that have been put out there, and some parents who are very concerned about what is in front of them. And Thomas, before I let you get going here, I'm going to read this straight from the IHSA.org website. It says, on Thursday, July 9th, 2020, the IHSA announced further restrictions are necessary as directed by IDPH and Governor Pritzker's office. The approved document with additional restrictions will be posted here as soon as we receive IDPH approval. We expect the new restrictions to include that students participating in physical activity outside while social distancing are not required to wear a mask, but masks are required for students participating in physical activity inside the school building. The changes will also eliminate scrimmages in sports that require physical contact, such as basketball, football, lacrosse, soccer, volleyball, water polo, and wrestling. Thomas DeVore is the attorney that worked with Darren Bailey to successfully sue the governor, and now he has a new thing in his sights. So, Thomas, tell me, what about this has you concerned, and what actions are you taking?
Well, one, I'm just finishing up right now a lawsuit against the Illinois High School Association and Mr. Anderson, the executive director, in his individual capacity. And I'm filing this as a parent. My children's mother and I are filing it together. We're not married anymore. We're filing it together on behalf of 2 of our 3 children who are student athletes. This, and I have the emails to prove it. This is by far the most egregious and gross overreach of government I have ever seen in my life. This is a private entity, the Illinois High School Association. One second. Kelly, I can't hear. I'm sorry. This is a private organization. They are not a public body, the Illinois High School Association. They are governed by their constitution and their bylaws. The governor's office, the Illinois Department of Public Health, have no authority whatsoever to be dictating requirements on this private body. And that's exactly what they're doing. I've got the emails that'll be attached to the complaint, and I believe the Edgar County watchdogs may have already produced some of them. Here's what happened.
Okay.
On about July 3rd, give or take, the Sports Medicine Committee of the Illinois High School Association put together and produced their plan, and it was sent out to all the member schools on July 7th, approximately, or maybe the 3rd, somewhere between the 3rd and the 7th. It was sent out, and it laid out all kinds of health regulations. Now, I would suggest to you that all of those regulations in there are all merely guidance and recommendations.
Suggestions.
I would suggest that to you as a matter of law, and I further suggested to you that the executive director, when pushed by my superintendent on my behalf, admitted to him that their recommendations, they have no authority to produce any of those things in that health plan. They have no intention of ever trying to enforce it or to find any school. My superintendent is livid because they were sent to him under some color of authority that he had to do that or could subject our children to being not allowed to certain opportunities. And I have an admission from the executive director that says it's all a bunch of nonsense. One could ask, why did you want to ask me? Go ahead, Amy. I'm not kidding. I got the email.
I know. I've read some of them, and we're going to post them here on. It's at Edgar County Watchdogs, but we're going to share them too with this interview. I want to ask you. I want to give you a very specific situation and tell me how somebody who's in this situation in the Metro East, somebody who I know personally, has a daughter who is going to be playing volleyball in her senior season. She has an asthma diagnosis. She carries around a rescue inhaler. It's well known that she has asthma, and she is being told that she is going to have to wear a mask while she plays volleyball. So the parent, the mother, has contacted the school in the Metro East here and said, I would like an exemption for this. I would like a medical exemption. The response that she got said, thank you for contacting me. I can certainly appreciate your concern. Unfortunately, right now, the only guidance we have is that if activities are inside, then all participants must be wearing a mask. So right now, the only options in regard to your concern would be to limit participation as needed. I'm leaving the school name out here, is not in a position right now to make any alterations to the expectation that a mask should be worn when inside. I will certainly let you know if that expectation would change or if we receive different information from the state or from the IHSA. So the athletic director at this school in this St. Louis Metro East area is saying that they have been directed from the state and the IHSA, and because of those directions, they have no medical exemptions available for this athlete. What does this mom need to do next? Because she's ready to fight for her daughter, the safety of her daughter and her daughter's ability to play. But where do these parents go right now?
That's a good question. Before I answer that, let me ask you this, or let me tell you this. The Sports Medicine Committee of the Illinois High School Association does not condone the wearing of masks of children inside of a building. They never had a chance to give their opinion like they did on some of the other rules because Mr. Anderson, the executive director, didn't ask them. No, moreover, the Illinois High School Association Board of Directors never voted on these mandates. The deputy governor of the governor's office sent an email that required them to add those things, and Anderson added them on his own under some color of authority. Now, that's the truth, and so this needs to come out, and hopefully when it comes out, some of these directors, when they see the email of Mr. Anderson that was sent to my superintendent, these men and women who are intelligent and have an obligation to their children can say, well, wait a second, I don't have to follow any of this. This is just recommendations, etc. And they'll do something. If not, the lawsuit that I'm filing in about an hour is going to file it on behalf of my children and all children in this state who are under this. Annie, this is the most ridiculous thing on the planet that I've ever dealt with in my life. And the people of this state and the school districts and anybody that has any ability to have any influence whatsoever needs to put an end to this. This, you know, the governor, and I'm speaking as a parent now, so I can freewheel a little bit more than when I'm representing a client. The governor has on time and time again been saying he's always looking for ways to create tools of enforcement. Those tools are no more than intimidation. And he is now wielding authority out of the executive branch against private entities like the Illinois High School Association. And I don't know what kind of pressure he put on Mr. Anderson to get that done, but I'm going to find out, because that's collusion, it's intimidation, and it's illegal. And this stuff has to come to an end. It's absurd, especially when the Illinois High School Association's own health committee says that's a horrible idea.
We're on the phone with Attorney Thomas DeVore, and he is taking action against the IHSA regarding some of the restrictions that are being put on athletes for the upcoming school year, athletic school year. So as I hear you say this, and correct me in any place where I got wrong, you're suggesting that the IHSA has put out these mandates, which is requiring mask wearing for any contact sports or anything that is indoors for sure. I know there's a limit of 50 people at each sporting event, which would include the players and the coaches. So that's going to limit parent participation significantly. There are some other ones, but you're saying that the IHSA is basically doing what the governor's office has told him to do.
I'm basically telling you that the emails that you have, the executive director is admitting that they're merely doing what the governor is telling them to do. And he also admits that his association has no authority whatsoever to make these rules. And I asked him the question and he gave an honest answer. I'll give him that. And that they have no authority. They have no intention of ever policing, enforcing, or anything. This is the biggest ruse that the people of the state of Illinois have been subjected to since this stuff started back in March. The athletic directors and the school boards and the school superintendents, all they need to do is read the email that Mr. Anderson sent to my superintendent that says we don't have any authority.
It starts off here in a quote legal end quote sense. One could argue that we have no provision to offer this guidance to our membership during the summer. However, our IHSA board of directors has approved of these guidelines to help support the safe return of activities for our membership. Between you and I, what we are providing our member schools is, quote, guidance, end quote. We have no intention to police individual schools for violations of our guidance and enforce penalties for non-compliance. And then it says, I think it's been well documented that we are receiving approval of our guidance from government offices like IDPH and the governor's office to adhere to state guidelines as we prepare a safe return to activities. So, you know, I think that I'll finish. Yeah, I'll finish the email here. Generally, I think schools are welcoming of some guidance from our association to create some common expectations for how we return safely. Unfortunately, I do not have a citation to state our authority in this case. This is an unprecedented time where we are simply trying to support our membership. Let me know if you have additional questions. You know, I'll say this, Thomas. I will agree with Mr. Anderson here with the IHSA that this is unprecedented. And I will say that if, you know, the IHSA could be very well so acting in good faith, but acting in good faith doesn't necessarily mean that a challenge isn't warranted. That if the IHSA is trying to do the best thing for the student athletes, I understand that, but I would assume that the parents and the students themselves should have some say in what is best for them.
But here, I would add this to you. Here's where I would quibble with you a little bit. The initial plan that was put out was prepared, promoted, and recommended by the Committee of Sports Health Medicine. It was sent to the full board of the IHSA for approval. I say good faith may have occurred there, regardless of whether they had any legal authority. But if you look at the emails, it started with Dr. Ezike sending an email to the governor, and then the governor, some fashion, gets a hold of his deputy governor. His deputy governor sends these mandates that you have to do to the executive director, Anderson. Those 3 new mandates. From that point on, Mr. Anderson doesn't take those back to the Committee of Sports Medicine. He doesn't take it to the full board. He merely promulgates them in an email and shoots those out to all of the members without going through the process of the rules of the IHSA, let alone whether they had the authority. And that's a separate question. Those new mandates of that making children wear a mask while they're engaged in activities like that, which I'm told is dangerous, that never happened. So I would say bad faith or good faith stops when Mr. Anderson failed to take those mandates of the governor and the IDPH back to the committee and the IHSA. That was grossly improper.
So you'll be filing this complaint this afternoon, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm about done with it.
Okay, well, we're going to stick around and watch how this unfolds, because I know that there are a lot of people who want the best for everybody. Everybody wants their child to be safe. They want the other kids to be safe, whether it's on your team or the other team. But if there are just intimidating orders coming down from the governor's office and the authority is not there for the IHSA to enforce these things to their own admission, I think that maybe this needs to be handled on a more local level, and we'll see how it unfolds. Thomas, thank you so much. Stay in touch with us because we want to know how this goes.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Yep, you too as well. You can follow Thomas DeVore on Facebook. I think you have to friend him, which is fine, and you can see what he's doing next. And he reached out to me on Friday to tell me something was coming, and I was excited to bring that to you because over the course of the weekend, it was kind of shocking to me. I guess it's mid-July. It's about time that fall sports start coming back into action. And some majorly concerned parents about this issue. If you want to weigh in, 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. We could take some phone calls when we come back on this issue. Do you think that athletes should be wearing masks while they play sports? We're talking about playing volleyball inside with a mask on. That just seems crazy to me. And if you were listening in the 12 o'clock hour, we asked Dr. Scott Hardeman about this, and he's like, as soon as your mask becomes wet, it's ineffective. Well, yeah, I remember I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, and there was sweat involved. So call us, 314-241-9797, and stick around in the 2 o'clock hour. At the beginning of the 2 o'clock hour, the Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt is going to join us, and he's going to talk about the McCloskeys. Man, the McCloskeys, doesn't that sound like a Netflix show now? Like, couldn't it be its own Netflix show? Ryan's frozen again. I'm still here. Possibly disinterested in what we were talking about. He's like, wom.
Oh, the McCloskeys, huh? Well, as long as it's not like a period piece.
Yeah, okay. Like time travel and Scottish people. I'd watch that show. Oh, wait, there you do.
Of course you would.
We'll be right back.
Got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
Used to let it go, walk into the show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLhonorflight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
What's your favorite 4-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times with this social distancing, face mask wearing, staying at home world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our 4-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that your retirement plans don't take a backseat. You've watched the market drop and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments and find out how you may be able to save big on taxes while the market is down. Find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call the team today to set up a meeting, 314-373-1598, Compass Retirement Solutions, 314-373-1598. And for more on retirement planning, listen to Rethinking Retirement, Saturdays at 8 and 4 and Sundays at 11. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Compass Retirement Solutions does not provide tax advice.
As difficult as losing a loved one is, managing their estate can be confusing and overwhelming. Hi, I'm Scott Trout, CEO of Tucker Allen, and we stand ready to help you navigate the complex world of probate and trust administration. Having us by your side can give you peace of mind.
Visit TuckerAllen.com to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's attorneys. 1001 South Kirkwood Road, Suite 130, Kirkwood, Missouri, 63122. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at ARCA, Assisted Recovery Centers of America. So alcohol and opioid addiction is a huge problem in America, as you know. And with the coronavirus, it's become even worse. Just know that there is help right here in our community. Call ARCA at 314-645-6840 or visit arcamidwest.com. Everything is professional, everything is compassionate, and everything is private. That's arcamidwest.com for help.
Home truly is your place of trust. Protect your investment with a free remote estimate from CertaPro Painters. Show us what you'd like painted from the safety and comfort of your own home. We'll ask some questions and add some expert advice. Then we'll provide a detailed estimate so you know exactly what you're getting and what happens next. It's all quick, safe, and easy. Whatever painting project you have in mind, your local neighborhood CertaPro Painters will do the job right. Start your remote or on-site estimate today at CertaPro.com. Proven and trusted experts in painting.
Does Eric Wolf have any integrity? Can you believe the lies he's spewing about Bill Eigel?
Well, what do you expect? Eric Wolf is a trial attorney and criminal defense lawyer.
Did you know Bill Eigel is the only candidate in this race endorsed by Missouri Right to Life?
I saw that. Bill Eigel is the most conservative member of the Missouri State Senate. He's 100% pro-life and is fighting to make sure Planned Parenthood never gets a dime from taxpayers.
Bill Eigel has always been the taxpayer's best friend. Bill Eigel fought for and passed the largest income tax cut in Missouri's history.
That's right. Bill Eigel is also fighting to end the personal property tax, and he voted to cut taxes for small businesses.
I'm most proud of Bill Eigel's love for our nation. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran who has always defended our freedom, including the Second Amendment.
So Eric Wolf is a liberal criminal lawyer trying to take on proven conservative veteran Bill Eigel.
Ooh, that makes things easy. Bill Eigel is the conservative choice for state senate.
Paid for by Believe in Life and Liberty. Bill Pack, Mandy Lane Buter, Treasurer.
Mark Cox here. Guys, let Victory Men's Health help you regain your vitality by optimizing your hormones, vitamins, and sexual health. Victory Men's Health has the most cutting-edge technologies to treat ED. They have wave therapy. Listen, this is the biggest advancement for men with ED since the launch of Viagra. That's pretty incredible. They do the treatments in their office. Victory Men's Health offers wave therapy in both their Illinois and Missouri location. Check him out online today at victorymenshealth.com.
The Dave Glover Show.
Just classic kid. My mom was a really good baker. I'm sure she still is, but she doesn't do it anymore. Chocolate cake or chocolate chip cookies. And all I wanted were ding dongs.
Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Since Dave Glover just brought up ding dongs, I have to tell the story because I adore this story. We had a family reunion golf scramble a few weeks ago, and in an effort to keep everything, I don't know if I told the story on the air, but if I did, I'm telling it again. In order to keep everything as sanitary, usually it's a potluck of sorts. Everybody brings something. My husband and I decided we'll just get some food and dish it out, and we got. For dessert, we got, well, it's because we walked into Sam's and there's this gigantic box of Twinkies and Ding Dongs that were in a patriotic little display. And the Ding Dongs were white Ding Dongs, white cake with white icing, which tasted like zebra cakes.
Yum.
Maybe my favorite thing ever is like a zebra cake or the Christmas tree cakes and whatever. And just to explain how not much my daughter has Hostess treats at all. We had come home, we had a whole bunch left over, but you know, you could hand them out, they're all individually wrapped and everything. So we took home what we had that was left over, and she came up to me afterwards, and like I said, we had bought Twinkies and Ding Dongs, and she's like, do you think that we could maybe have some Dinky Donkeys?
No.
So now we call them Dinkies and Donkeys.
Yes.
And we still have Dinkies. We have no donkeys left, but I just love that. That's better than Ding Dongs or Twinkies.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Dinky Donkey sounds way better than a ding dong.
I bet you could go for some Dinky Donkeys right now.
Oh, my gosh. I would just shove them into my face with boxing gloves.
Not even eating them. Just let them slide down.
I don't even care. Just let
Sugar
them
by
sit
osmosis.
there. Oh, my gosh. The next hour of the show would be insane. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. If you load it up and then, well, we need to do that in the noon hour so that we can get the benefit of the high in the 1 o'clock hour and the crash in the 2 o'clock hour.
Oh yeah, the crash would be just as fun for you.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
want
you'd
the
be
phases.
like posted up on your microphone, just drooling.
Yeah, if you hear this,
then you know.
then you know I'm having a sugar down.
Dinky donkey.
Dinky donkeys.
Give me my dinky donkeys.
Yeah, exactly. If you missed it, we just spoke with attorney Thomas DeVore. He is the attorney that represented Darren Bailey in his lawsuit against the extension of the emergency orders that Governor Pritzker put into place past that 30-day limit. And Thomas DeVore and Darren Bailey won. And now he's setting his sights on the IHSA because the IHSA is putting in some significant restrictions on student athletes, mandating mask wearing and limiting capacity significantly. And the question is, does the IHSA have the authority to do this? Thomas DeVore is challenging that. If you would like to call the show and weigh in on this issue, we'd love to have you. 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. Let's start with Melissa. Melissa, thank you for calling the show. What do you think?
Hi, Annie. I just have to say, I don't know what is going on in Missouri, but I just was listening to Mr. DeVore talk about what's happening with Illinois sports. I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher. I'm a high school soccer coach, and then I also wait tables. And I have been wearing a mask in this heat, waiting tables this summer since things opened up at the beginning of June. And it is really hard. I cannot imagine, for instance, soccer players running around with masks on. And to me, the first thing that comes to my mind is that would just be worse for them. Why would they not just cancel the season? How is it better to have them? I feel like you're going to have kids literally passing out.
Yeah,
because I'm not running around. I'm walking fast and I'm explaining the specials to people. I'm out on the patio. It's very hot, and you can barely breathe. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand how this makes any sense.
Thank you, Melissa, for the phone call. I appreciate it. And I know a lot of people who are kind of along that same sentiment that are having to wear masks and saying that, it's a difficult thing to do in the heat to begin with. And then you ask people to perform at a high level. It's going to be tough. And I've had that thought too, Melissa, like if this is and we spoke with Dr. Scott Hardeman in the first hour, and we always ask him all these coronavirus questions. And I asked him about this specifically. In his medical opinion, he's like, at what point is what you're doing actually to mitigate the spread of the disease? And at what point is it something to do? Because if the mask isn't fitting your face snugly, if it is causing you to, or if you're sweating onto it and it's getting wet, it becomes useless. I hesitate to say that maybe it would be better to just cancel the season, but gosh, that would just be tragic again for those kids who lost their spring seasons, their baseball seasons, their soccer plays in the spring, and softball, and just track, I guess, as well. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. And I'm here to say too, I want to add this in, regarding the IHSA and their decision to do this, they, along with everybody else, are having to make some really tough decisions. They're having to put out some regulations that are going to upset people no matter what. If they were to say that you weren't allowed to wear masks, that was illegal equipment, and I've been an IHSA official for a long time, that your equipment is definitely regulated. If they were to say that masks are illegal, then people are going to be ticked about that too. So they are facing a difficult decision here. But if people want to challenge this, they need to know who to challenge to begin with. And if the IHSA is taking its marching orders from the IDPH and the governor's office, then that's where the attention needs to go. Let's get Sean on the line here. Sean, thank you for calling the Annie Frey Show.
Hi, Annie. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, and just kind of exactly what you were just talking about with people knowing who they need to challenge. But I guess my question is similar to that, and that's what can we do to challenge? Because you hear a lot about, local, state, federal governments really just coming out and trying to enforce rules that they might not have the authority to enforce.
Yeah.
And I know that my high school sports meant a lot to me. I was a swimmer, but I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. But it's like, I guess the question is just what can the average guy or girl or whatever, do to try and stand up and help fight this fight?
Well, I would connect with Thomas DeVore, and that's one thing. And you can find him on Facebook. His last name is spelled DeVore. I would ask you to join Illinois Rising. It's a Facebook group that I've created that I'm going to stay on this issue specifically because I definitely want to know. I've played sports and have been an IHSA official for some time. I'm very interested in how this is going to unfold. I think that you need to right now, the biggest advice I would have right now is be on record and get correspondence, email, written correspondence to the athletic director or to the administration at your school and find out what their stance is. Because maybe it's possible that your athletic director or your administration and you might be on the same side. And, maybe that will make a difference. It could be the case that the IHSA says, okay, everybody do whatever they want. And then the school mandates that you have to wear a mask. And then, I don't know where that fight goes. But sure. I would say being vigilant. I appreciate you listening to the show because I want to continue to bring these issues to the forefront because you are the most important thing, Sean. People like you who, you call yourself an everyday citizen. You getting involved is when things start changing. There are lawyers making noise all the time. There are politicians making noise all the time. A really, really scary thing for the people who are in charge and making decisions on a daily basis is when the Seans and the Melissas of the world decide, no, I'm going to stand up to this and I'm going to have my voice be heard. So I would say stay connected to this show because I'm going to follow up with Thomas after he gets his complaint filed. We might have him on later on in the week to see what kind of progress he's had. But I want to make sure that I give people just like you action items that if you want to take some sort of action that you have that guidance.
Wonderful. And what was the group you had mentioned you created again?
Illinois Rising. So if you go onto the Annie Frey Show Facebook page, Illinois Rising is attached to there, but you should just be able to put in the search bar in Facebook, Illinois Rising. Just ask to join that. We've got almost 7,500 people who it is specifically catered to saving Illinois from the corruption that exists and the economic crisis that we are careening towards. And we've gotten petition signings put together. We are supporting candidates that are going to change the state if they get elected. And there's a lot of good stuff happening there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much.
Sean, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. I know that there are a lot of people that are very frustrated today, more frustrated than they've ever been. And they're saying, what can I do to help? Like, what can I do to cause some change? That's a pretty exciting thing for me. That's a pretty exciting thing to hear because, I can yap on about it all day long, but if it's just me yapping, nothing's going to change. It's when you guys decide to stand up. I'm happy to follow you, lead you, support you, whatever you need me to do. I'm here for it. Illinois Rising is a great place to be too. Go join us there. When we come back, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt on the McCloskeys.
Hi, it's Mark Cox for my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu with GL International Realty, part of Coldwell Banker Premier Group. If you're planning to sell your home, you're going to love this latest real estate update from Gloria. Gloria's home sellers are enjoying fast sales and top dollar because home values here in the St. Louis area are actually higher than they were this time last year. This means higher demand for your home, and while mortgage rates are still at historic lows. When you call Gloria Liu and her team, she'll show you how she puts her database of over 9,000 ready buyers to work for you, showcasing your home safely and virtually, which often leads to multiple offers and higher sale prices. Of course, with Gloria's guaranteed sale program, she'll always sell your home at your agreed to price, or she'll buy it herself, guaranteed. Call Gloria today, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food. Crazy. Enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
low and look great.
Your habits are out of control. With hypnosis, create new healthy habits. Join America's hypnotist Mark Patrick live online interactive weight loss or stop smoking hypnosis seminar. Only $49.99 for the greater St. Louis area on Saturday, July 18th in the comfort and safety of your own home. Go to markpatrickseminars.com and register now.
Michael Flynn at Shelter Insurance wants everyone to know that they are available to help current and future customers with their insurance needs during the COVID crisis. Michael and his team are available to assist with policy reviews and continue to provide free quotes to new customers. Please call Michael at 636-441-8177 because most situations can be handled through phone or email. Thank you for choosing Michael Flynn and Shelter for your insurance needs, and we hope you stay safe and strong during this crisis.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market games without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
Stay connected every weekday. Mark Cox and Brian Kilmeade in the morning. Annie Fry, then Dave Glover in the afternoon. Sean Hannity every weekday evening. 97.1 FM Talk. Streaming at 97.1 Talk. KFTK FM Florissant. K254CR St. Louis. Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group. 97.1 FM Talk. A radio.com station.
Getting a reprieve. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. A judge today putting on hold the government's plans to resume federal executions, including one scheduled to take place in just under an hour.
Hours before the first federal execution since 2003, a district court judge has delayed the scheduled lethal injection, finding the public is not served by short-circuiting legitimate judicial processes. Daniel Lewis Lee was scheduled to be executed this afternoon for the 1996 killings of a husband, wife, and 8-year-old daughter. The victim's family has asked for a delay, arguing they would be put at risk for coronavirus if they traveled to witness the execution. An appeals court lifted an injunction Sunday.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The Trump administration this afternoon appealing to the Supreme Court to overturn the judge's decision and allow executions to proceed. 4 federal inmates are currently scheduled to die by lethal injection. Parents and others are expressing concerns about the safety of getting kids back into the classrooms amid a rising number of coronavirus cases. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow says the administration may provide financial incentives to help schools as they prepare for in-room teaching.
I think the president would be willing to consider additional funding for state and local governments if the schools do reopen.
President Trump has threatened to cut off federal funding to schools that don't reopen to students in the fall. More than 200 universities are backing a legal challenge to the Trump administration's new restrictions on international students. They argue the policy jeopardizes student safety and forces schools to reconsider fall plans they have spent months preparing. Under the new policy, international students will be forced to leave the U.S. or transfer to another college if their schools operate entirely online this fall. America is listening to Fox News.
Don't miss Lowe's Just for Pros event going on now. Check out Simpson Strong Tie, new at Lowe's. Also get big savings on other brands you trust, like Metabo HPT. Powerful brands, new services, and pro-grade deals, all at Lowe's Just for Pros event, now through July 24th. See why we're the new home for pros. Get your choice of a Metabo HPT 18-volt brushless cordless impact driver kit or hammer drill kit for $159, was $239. Kit includes 2 batteries. Valid through 7/24, selection varies by location.
It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will be ready to award $7,000 a week for life. That's $7,000 a week, week after week, for life. Don't miss your last chance to win. Go to PCH.com and enter before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/26. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The weather stays pretty nice on this Monday afternoon around St. Louis. Lots of sunshine, okay humidity levels with the northwest flow. 89-90 will do it for the high today. Tonight, clear skies, 80s this evening. The morning is fine on Tuesday, partly sunny skies. Wednesday, the heat really gets turned on, but so do scattered thunderstorms. I think the best chance for rain this week will be Wednesday into Wednesday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Do you need a little extra cash? Do you want to pay down some credit card debt? Do you want to consolidate your debt? Do you want to go on a vacation? Do you want to just owe less money on your mortgage? Stewart's American Mortgage can help you with any of those circumstances, and they have multiple loans at Stewart's American Mortgage to help you. Stewie is my friend and has helped me do a refinance, freed up about $200 a month for us, and got a fantastic rate. It was a really positive experience. It didn't cost us anything to do it. That was the bagel loan. Since then, since COVID's happened and everything, he's wanting to take it to the banks. He wants to give you the best opportunity to get the ridiculously low rates that are accessible right now. So he created the Bank Buster loan. He's told me about stories. It's almost like they're legends now of where he's been able to use the bagel and the Bank Buster loan at the same time. Call Stewie, text Stewie, and ask him how he can help you. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Mention you heard about him on the Annie Frey Show. You could Google the bagel loan as well. And MLS number 226715.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a right fit for you. And check out the podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's digital editor, Megan Crane.
I'm listening daily, here to help end the stigma of talking about mental health. During these challenging times, listening is fundamental to promoting understanding and healing. Here's licensed psychologist Dr. Milo Dodson on dealing with toxic environments.
A lot of people don't get to work based off of their interests. It's really based off of need. And so when we're feeling like an environment's toxic, we really, really need to identify allies and distance ourselves from alligators. The other thing is, in reality, if we're feeling like an environment's toxic or not always feeling the best, being able to plan and prepare an exit strategy ahead of time. So in the meantime, being able to tell ourselves, you know what, this doesn't feel good, this is temporary, and I have a plan in action, and then being able to take smaller steps to that long-term goal.
Let's end the stigma of talking about mental health. Find out more at imlistening.org.
This is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Because of coronavirus, seminar now online, live with America's hypnotist Mark Patrick in the comfort and safety of your living room. Live online seminar for the greater St. Louis area will be held live Saturday, July 18th. Register now, only $49.99 guaranteed at markpatrickseminars.com.
Imagine two identical homes on the same street that sold in the same week for $400,000. One seller used a realtor who charged 7%. The other listed with Straight Realty for only 4%, saving $12,000. Hi, my name is Christina Straight with Straight Realty. Don't be fooled by high commissions. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. 314-441 all fours.
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
More than ever, this is where St. Louis is coming to talk. Computer, smart speaker, radio, phone. People are gathering here. Thanks for listening and staying connected. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm going to say this right now. Nobody else has said it. This country is on the verge of civil war. They started it. We will finish it. The only way that's going to happen is if we stand together. Now say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United United States of America.
The United States of America.
And to the republic.
And to the republic.
For which it stands.
For which it stands.
One nation.
One nation.
Under God.
Under God.
Indivisible.
Indivisible.
With liberty.
With liberty.
And justice. For all.
The man with the megaphone there, his name is Jonathan Gilliam, and this was in New York. And I don't know how many of y'all saw the support for the NYPD this weekend, but it was a massive march in support of the NYPD, which is very nice to see because we've seen a fair share of the anti-police sentiment that has existed for a few months now. And, he starts that sentence there, that speech, at least the part that we played, there's more to it. But he says that, we're on the verge of a civil war. That's by no means, I'm praying to God with my children here at home that is not the case, that we can come to our senses before we start using that type of vocabulary. But there are a lot of people who are looking at what's going on in our country right now and saying, this is not the country that I recognize. And those founding documents that are established in order to keep the people of this country from an oppressive government seem as though they're getting trampled on a little bit. And we are going against those people who are giving of themselves, sacrificing of themselves to be in law enforcement. We are not appreciating them and respecting them. And it's just hard to recognize the world that we live in right now. One of those things that I think blew my mind when I saw it was the warrant of the McCloskeys here in St. Louis. This is a national story that has a lot of room for legs when you see that a warrant was served on them and their rifle was confiscated. At the time, the handgun was not, but from what I understand, as of this point in time, it has been handed over to the authorities. And I had to get Missouri's Attorney General on, Eric Schmitt, to discuss this issue right now. Eric, thank you so much for coming on the Andy Frey Show today. It's great to have you here.
It's great to have you, and I know we'll talk about that, but you mentioned something that I think is worth at least expounding on a little bit over the July 4th weekend, which was just a week ago.
Yeah.
Feels like it was much longer ago than that. But
yeah, we're in 2020 years. It's like dog years.
I know, my God. News cycles are like every hour. But I wrote an op-ed in the Southeast Missourian that shared on social media about, kind of where we're at and having that appreciation, a sense of gratitude for the country we live in and how unique it is. It's exceptional. And that's what people mean by American exceptionalism, that our founders founded this country with a philosophical claim, a creed, right? That transcends, it didn't exist before. The idea that we're born with certain rights, that God-given rights, and government is just our shared project to protect those rights. And you see the lowest levels of American pride in decades. You got 40% of Americans under the age of 35 who believe the First Amendment's dangerous. 1 in 10 Americans believe that Judge Judy's on the Supreme Court. I mean, we need to get back to the basics of civics. And I think that's our way forward, where we can appreciate this gift. And America is the greatest vessel for the advancement of human dignity in the history of the world, and we ought to appreciate that. And I think that can be something that brings us together, as we move forward. So
I can't remember who it was, and I wish. And when I find it out, whether it's by the end of the show or by the end of this week, it was an African American person saying that he was born with the most amazing privilege that exists, and it's to be born in America. That the idea of being American is such a blessing, and we are taking it for granted so very much. And when I'm looking at, I've been looking for what crime the McCloskey committed, why their guns were confiscated. You're the law here in Missouri, and I'd love to hear what you think about the story as a whole, but especially them having to surrender those weapons.
So a local prosecutor, and I think that's important. Our office, this is not our deal. The local prosecutor, Kim Gardner in St. Louis, that happened. Actually, it was on a Fox News program as it was breaking Friday night. We were going to talk about Operation Legend, this surge of federal law enforcement helping out in Kansas City, where we're seeing record homicide numbers in Kansas City, and St. Louis is the same way. I mean, we're in a spike of violent crime that we got to get in front of. But as this all was happening, the search warrant was issued. One gun was, I think, seized at the residence. Another one was turned over later. One thing I think that's really important for people, for listeners to understand, is Missouri's castle doctrine. Missouri's castle doctrine is expansive and very broad. And what that means is that you can defend your property. You can defend your life, of course, your family, your home and your property. And Missouri has one of them, again, the broadest castle doctrines in the country. And another important fact here is that this was a private street. This was not a public street. This is a neighborhood that those streets have, been maintained and they're owned by the people who live in there. So that's an important fact here as people are, defending their property. Of course, these folks were on their way to the mayor's house, which has been, vandalized several times. And so, yeah, and I think the real story to watch here is Kim Gardner. She, of course, has an abysmal record of prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis. Has a track record. She's
pretty proud of it.
Yeah, and she kind of brags about it, and she's released dozens and dozens of inmates who were charged with violent crime at the beginning of the coronavirus. We called her out on it. I mean, these are people who were arrested for holding up restaurant workers at gunpoint, assaulting cab drivers. These people she was complicit in their release, and she has a track record of making political decisions and ignoring the law. So certainly something to watch. There have been no charges issued yet, but obviously this was a new development on Friday.
Eric Schmitt, Missouri's Attorney General, on the phone with us. Eric, I remember you talking about this issue with Kim Gardner long before 2020. 2020 has sort of just amplified everything. And in this case, it looks very much like it's selectively applied law, that she's allowing groups that she would benefit her politically to go, and then she's prosecuting or looking into prosecuting people that maybe aren't in line with her political beliefs. What exactly can you do as the Attorney General about that?
Well, we don't, some states are different. I mean, some states, an attorney general can sort of come over the top. We don't have that ability under Missouri law. We handle all the criminal appeals. We're asked to come in when there's a conflict or when a local prosecutor asks to assist. That doesn't happen in St. Louis City. And I will tell you, early on, well over, a year and a half ago, I offered to Kim Gardner, said, look, I'm from the St. Louis region. I care deeply about violent crime in St. Louis. Let's work together on that. I'm willing to help. We're willing to have resources in our office. And she just was never responsive to it. So what we ended up doing was we have a partnership with the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is unprecedented in the country, where we have lawyers from our office embedded in the U.S. Attorney's Office to prosecute violent crime in St. Louis in federal court. So we're doing everything that we can there and have, well over a couple hundred indictments and charges from that. So we're doing what we can. But yeah, I mean, look, the track record for Kim Gardner is not a good one. And, the day before all of this happened, which seems again like 1,000 years ago, but you had calls for St. Louis being renamed, which is ridiculous, and people at the statue on Art Hill there, which is an emblematic statue before the arch. I mean, this was what St. Louis. This was the what you'd see on symbol of St. Louis, and there were people peacefully praying there who were assaulted on video. These people who were doing the assaulting have actually been interviewed on local television saying they fully expect to be charged and nothing's happened there. So it's bizarre.
I want to ask you this. We're speaking with the Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt. Back on the McCloskey story here, can you explain how the authorities can show up and have a warrant for these weapons, and the McCloskeys, I assume they don't have a choice to surrender them? I mean, they're lawyers, so I would assume that they know the law infinitely more than I do. But kind of explain to me how this came about, where you had two people on their front porch defending their property from a mass of people who showed up and were threatening them, to the point where now they have had to surrender their weapons. I mean, I don't know the law, but this seems like if I'm a Second Amendment supporter, and I am, I'm going, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, and I'm not going to try to get in the mind of Kim Gardner on this. And I don't want to speculate too much. I can only believe that, this could be part of them trying to build a case at some level. And that's why the search warrant was issued. But again, I think what's really important for people to understand is that in Missouri, the castle doctrine is very expansive. And so this was not a public street. This was not a public, right of way of any sort. I mean, this is private property. The gate was, down into a private neighborhood. And including McCloskey's, in this video everywhere, they told the folks coming through this is private property. They have said that they were threatened, their lives were threatened, people were going to kill them, their dog, and live in their house. And they are on their property. And again, that the Castle Doctrine allows you to defend yourself and your family and your home and your property. And so we'll see how this plays out, but certainly the search warrant was extraordinary here.
So, I mean, I live in the state of Illinois, and basically I have to have like a written signature from the governor if I want to defend my house. It's absolutely ridiculous in the state of Illinois. In Missouri, do you have to, in order to have a weapon that you lawfully own out in plain sight on your own property, do you have to have a threat? Do you have to be able to prove that there is a threat? Or under Missouri law, can you have a lawfully owned gun on your person out in the open for people to see on your own private property?
Yeah, Missouri is an open carry state, meaning that it's a constitutional carry state. So you don't even have a concealed carry permit requirement to carry in Missouri. To have it now, that is, again, we can carry that openly and for protection. But on your property, if you are threatened on your own property, you have the ability to defend yourself, and not just yourself, but your home and your property. And so, again, that's why I bring up the castle, because it's, I don't know where this goes. If it goes forward, the Castle Doctrine is going to be central, the central legal issue here, and what the ability they had to defend themselves and their property and those threats that were being, lobbed at them. And so that's why I keep drawing attention to that, number one. And the number two, unfortunately, the track record of the circuit attorney, who's not much interested in prosecuting violent crime, and has released, again, dozens and dozens of inmates charged with violent crimes, and makes, has a track record making political decision and sort of ignores the law. And that's where we're at.
Is what the McCloskey's done considered brandishing?
Well, again, I don't want to speculate as we move forward, because it's not our case. But when you're on your own property and you are threatened, you can defend yourself and your property. And as a general maxim, legal maxim, that is true. And again, this was a private street. This was not a public street. Folks were on their property. And that's, again, a big, big legal distinction moving forward here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I want to also, before we let you go here, give you an opportunity to talk about this residency bill. Can you talk to us just a quick bit about this? It was something that was out there in January, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak on this issue.
Well, yeah, one of the things we pushed for in the legislature was, two big ones, is to have a uniform carjacking statute to increase the penalties for carjacking, so that if you even attempt a carjacking with a deadly weapon, even if you're not successful, the minimum is 10 years. You can go to jail for 10 years to life.
Yes,
I think
please,
it's an important message to send.
I was carjacked in downtown St. Louis by somebody who had gotten out of jail like weeks before they did it to me for doing the same thing.
Yeah. No, and I think, look, these criminals have been emboldened. And so anyway, I think that got done. One thing that didn't get done was the residency requirement being lifted in the city. So right now it's going to be a police officer in the city of St. Louis. You have to live in the city. And as you know, there's a lot of folks who want to do important police work in the city, but they might have their kids and that are school age, and they want them to be able to go to a different school, or whatever their personal reasons are. They ought to be able to live in the county, or maybe in Illinois, or in Franklin County. And we need all hands on deck right now. Amidst these ridiculous calls to defund the police, we need more cops, we need more funding. St. Louis City is 150 officers short right now. They're probably going to lose a number of officers, maybe a couple hundred, to retirement in the next year. Certainly, we saw over the weekend there were a 400% increase in requests for retirement in NYPD. I don't think that New York's going to be alone in that. So, we want to make sure that our communities are safe. We're going to need more police officers, and opening up that universe of talent to people who live outside the city, I think, is a really important thing to do to protect neighborhoods, communities, and honor the service that a lot of good men and women who wear that uniform want to do in the city, because we need their help.
I agree so much. Thank you so much for coming on with us today, Eric Schmitt. We appreciate your time for sure.
Sure thing. Take care.
Yep, you as well. That's the Attorney General for the state of Missouri. And I pushed him on some of those issues. I think what we have gotten there is that it isn't being handled locally. But he weighed in a little bit. So that McCloskey stuff, man, like I said, did we say this off the air or on the air, that this is like its own Netflix series? Like if you saw, were we talking about that
on the air? On the air.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
It's hard to tell sometimes. But I mean, like the McCloskeys, you could see that totally being a Netflix series and you wouldn't believe it. Like it's, oh my gosh. When I'm scrolling through Twitter on the weekend, it's always a mistake to do that. But when I start scrolling through Twitter and I see that, like I saw it from national media before I saw it from our local media, and the national media had picked it up from local media. So it's a crazy story. We're going to continue to follow it as well. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's see. I think the president was speaking. Are we going to go to that, Katie?
Yeah, we can go to it.
Okay, we can listen in a little bit to what the president was just saying from the White House. Katie was complimenting how good he looked.
He did look really great. His hair was perfectly coiffed today, and he looked very nice.
Man, I always think about the things that we say in 2020 if we would have heard him 4 years ago. Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them right there. His hair, Trump's hair was perfectly coiffed. It was the most Trump hair that it was just everything was in perfect place.
Yes.
It was tremendous, as they say. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Were you the queen with the silver crown? I want the secret.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
The shine underneath of the diamond.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Rhino Shield means never paint again. Before you make the mistake of painting with traditional paint again, call Rhino Shield today for a free home or business estimate. The difference between Rhino Shield and regular paint, it has a thicker look and it looks more luxurious. Rhino Shield permanent ceramic wall coatings come with a 25-year transferable warranty. Great if you're staying, even better if you're selling. We have metal and flat roof coatings to extend their lives too. 15 years from now, it's going to have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. Thousands of customers whose projects we've done over the last 15 years are a terrific resource for us today. We've got a superior product and a great reputation. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? If the intent is to do something in 2020, make that vision perfect. Don't lose sight. See what we did there? Genius. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Every day, Ameren works to deliver reliable energy throughout the region to on-the-go families, new parents, in-the-know grandparents, busy students, night owls, weekend warriors, and more. But did you know we also have options to help manage and track your energy, like paperless billing, outage notifications, pick a due date, and so much more. So no matter who you are or how you use your energy, there's an option that's right for you. Learn more at ameren.com/options.
As your employees are transitioning back to work, you want to provide a safe environment for them to work in. JanPro Commercial Cleaning has been servicing buildings and facilities throughout the metro for over 20 years. JanPro offers a range of disinfecting services that can eliminate 99.9% of germs that spread common illness and contagions. Has no adverse effects to the environment, staff, or visitors. For a no-obligation quote, contact JanPro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com. That's jan-pro.com. Commercial cleaning for your office or facility. It's JanPro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health from Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health from Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
Hi, this is Craig Jensen, trial attorney at Meyer Jensen. I have over 25 years of experience representing men and women who've been injured while working on the river. If you suffered an injury while working as a crew member of a towboat, you may qualify for a recovery under the Jones Act. We are located in Alton, Illinois, and routinely represent clients on both sides of the river. If you or a loved one was injured while working on a barge or towboat and need help, call Meyer Jensen at 618-463-1000 or visit us at our website, meyerjensen.com.
Hi, Sean Long for STL FenceWorks. STL FenceWorks has been the go-to for fences, decks, and sunrooms for nearly 50 years. The explanation is simple. our unwavering dedication to our core principles of quality, service, and affordability. STL FenceWorks says quality. It's in our people and products like Wolf Decking, Ameristar Ornamental Fence, and MVP Vinyl Fence. American made and committed to excellence. STL FenceWorks embodies service from first contact through project completion. It's an enhanced customer experience due to our professional staff. And STL FenceWorks delivers affordability through volume purchasing, low overhead, and 50 years working knowledge. We deliver more than our competition for less. STL FenceWorks is the confluence of these principles, and that's value added to you. Now more than ever, we intend to exceed your expectations and deliver your backyard vision through our timeless quality-first approach at an affordable cost with the utmost in service, craftsmanship, and professionalism. If you need a fence, deck, or sunroom, the solution is STL FenceWorks. At STL FenceWorks, your satisfaction is our passion.
The Dave Glover Show.
I don't agree with everything you say, but I absolutely believe you're being honest when you say it.
Afternoons from 3 to 7.
That's the reason why I think so many of us listen to you every day.
Common sense in the Midwest.
On 97.1 FM Talk.
You can't fight the temptation when you get the vibration. Won't do you no
Welcome back to the Andy Frey Show. Well, since Katie is so enamored with how Donald Trump looks today, we thought it would be good to play him, that handsome man he is. Donald Trump. He's said some things and he's taking some questions now. And from what we understand, he's talking about everything, including his, which we haven't even mentioned today, the commutation of the Roger Stone sentence. I said last week that it was going to happen quickly, and it did. Nobody should be surprised by this. Nobody at all. If you're surprised by this, then wait until you hear what else happened in 2020. Let's listen into some of these questions the president's answering.
Lawyers and him are embroiled in hopefully the final stages of what should have never happened. They treated him very unfairly, as they have many people on this side. Yeah, please.
President Trump, you've said many times that the number of coronavirus cases is going up because testing is increasing.
That's right.
Do you acknowledge that it's going up for other reasons too? For example, that it's actually spreading? And what are you going to do to stop the spread?
Well, you know that we have one of the lowest mortality rates anywhere. If you know, Biden and Obama stopped their testing. They just stopped it. You probably know that. I'm sure you don't want to report it. But they stopped testing right in the middle. They just went, no more testing. And on a much lesser problem than the problem that we have, obviously, with respect to this is the worst thing that's happened since probably 1917. This is a very bad thing. All over the world, it's 188 countries right now. But no, we test more than anybody by far. And when you test, you create cases. So we've created cases. I can tell you some countries, they test when somebody walks into a hospital sick or walks into maybe a doctor's office, but usually a hospital. That's the testing they do. So they don't have cases, whereas we do. We have all of these cases. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword. At the same time, we have the lowest mortality, or just about the lowest mortality in the world. We're doing a great job. We're doing very well with vaccines, and we're doing very, very well with therapeutics. And I think we're going to have some very good information coming out soon. But we have the best and certainly the biggest, by far the biggest testing program anywhere in the world. If you tested China or Russia or any of the larger countries, if you just tested India as an example, the way we test, you'd see numbers that would be very surprising. Brazil, too. You know, Brazil's going through a big problem, but they don't do testing like we do. So we do the testing, and by doing the testing, we have tremendous numbers of cases. If we didn't do the, as an example, we've done 45 million tests. If we did half that number, you'd have half the cases, probably around that number. If we did another half of that, you'd have half the numbers. Everyone would be saying, oh, we're doing so well on cases. But when I see it reported in the night, you can check me out on this. I mean, they're always talking about cases, the number of cases. Well, It is a big factor that we do. We have a lot of cases because we have a lot of testing, far more than any other country in the world. And it's also the best testing. Yeah, please.
The federal government is set to resume federal executions for the first time in more than a decade, potentially as soon as a couple of hours from now. Are you monitoring the last-minute appeals on that case?
Well, I think what I'm going to do is allow that to be answered by our Attorney General. Do you mind, Bill?
Yes, sir. We obviously monitor the appellate process.
Mr. President, have you given any consideration to using your clemency powers to stop these executions and commute them to life sentences?
Well, I've looked at it very strongly, and in this particular case, I'm dealing with Bill and all of the people at Justice, and it's always tough. You're talking about the death penalty, but when you talk about people that did what this particular person did, that's tough also. So we're going to see what happens. Right now, they have a stay, I believe, right? They have a stay. And we'll let the courts determine the final outcome. And that's what's going to happen. Okay?
You're asking Americans to have full faith in law enforcement. How do you respond to critics who say you undermined your own federal law enforcement agency, the DOJ, when you commuted the sentence of Roger Stone?
Well, if you look back on it, this was an investigation that should have never taken place. You have guys like Comey, you have McCabe, you have Strzok, you have his lover Lisa Page, you have all of these people running around. You have Brennan and Clapper who lied to Congress. You have many, many people. You have people that changed documents going into the FISA courts. And it's a terrible thing. And this is an investigation that they said should have ended before it started. It shouldn't have started. And if it did, it should have ended immediately because they found, as you know, as well as I do, they found nothing initially, but it went on for 2 years or longer. And no, I'm getting rave reviews for what I did for Roger Stone. And he, frankly, is going to go and now appeal his case. He had a jury forewoman who hated Roger Stone and who hated probably me, but she went on a false pretense and he wasn't given a fair trial. It's not a fair trial. He wasn't given another trial. Should have been given another trial. I won't say more. I won't talk about the judge. I'm not going to, why would I ever talk about a judge? But this was a judge that gave, I believe, solitary confinement to Paul Manafort. Al Capone didn't have solitary confinement. So these are things that happened. And if you look at President Bush, President Clinton, President Obama, take a look at what they did. Frankly, it's a very unfair. Roger Stone was treated very unfairly, in my opinion, and so were many others on this side. In the meantime, you have the other ones who are admitted lying before they admitted. They lied before Congress. They leaked classified information, which is something you just can't do. And what are they doing? So we'll see what happens. But no, we're getting rave reviews for what I did. Okay.
Are you going to be able to hold the convention in Jacksonville with all this virus spread?
Well, we're going to see it built up a little bit, but we're going to do something that will be great. We think we're doing very well. We had some poll numbers a little while ago that are great. You know, it's the same story. It's suppression polls that we had in 2016, phony polls, fake news, phony polls, same thing. And we're doing very well. We're doing well in Georgia. We're doing well in Texas. I read where I was 1 point up in Texas. I'm not 1 point up in Texas. We're many points up. I saved the oil industry. 2 months ago, I saved the oil industry. I created it. We became #1. We have millions of jobs and we saved it. So Texas is not going to have to let go of millions and millions of people. Oklahoma, North Dakota, many states. We're at $40 a barrel, and yet you can buy gasoline for under $2. Nobody's ever seen like that. So we have the biggest energy in the world. We're #1 in oil, as you know, oil and gas by far. We're now #1 in the world. And we would have had millions of people out of work. I saved it. And then they say I'm leading by 1 point in Texas. They said it last time, too. They said Texas is too close to call. This was like 3 months before the election. And then I won Texas in a blowout. They called it the minute the polls closed. They said that about Utah. They said that about Georgia. They said the same thing. That Georgia's, we can't, it's too close. They'll never be able to determine. We'll have to wait till election night. On election night, 2 seconds after the poll closed, they called Georgia. So, it's the same thing. We have the same thing. They're phony polls. They're suppression polls. But to think that after saving the oil and gas business and millions and millions of jobs, I'm leading Texas by 1 point. I don't think so. Go ahead.
Is the China phase one deal still intact, or is it? Do you see it in jeopardy?
It's intact. It's intact. But I think what China has done to the world with what took place, the China plague, you can call it the China virus, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's about 20 different names. What they did to the world should not be forgotten. But it's intact. They're buying. Whether they buy or not, that's up to them. They're buying.
President, Los Angeles just announced that they are delaying the opening of their schools. New York already said they were going to delay them. Other school districts are giving parents the choice whether to send their kids to school or not. What do you tell parents who look at this, who look at Arizona, where a school teacher recently died teaching summer school, parents who are worried about the safety of their children in public schools?
The schools should be opened. Schools should be opened. If these kids want to go to school, you're losing a lot of lives by keeping things closed. We did the right thing. We saved millions of lives. We saved millions of lives when we did the initial closure. Had we not done what we did, we would have had Mike and I were talking about it before, 2 to 3 million lives lost. But we did that. So we're at about 135,000, and we'll be at somewhat higher than that by the time it ends. And again, the vaccines are happening and the therapeutics are happening, but I'm not even talking about that. So we'll be at a somewhat higher, but we would have lost 2 million, 3 million lives had we not done it. Now we understand it also. We understand there are certain vulnerabilities, young children. I was talking to Governor Murphy, and they have thousands of lives. I won't even say how many, just thousands of lives. Hard to believe in New Jersey. And he said there was only one life that was 18 or younger. One person died, and that was a young man that had some medical difficulty. So when you think of that with thousands of lives and you have one person that was under 18, that's something that tells you, for some reason, I guess the immune system is much stronger with young people than it is for others. So we have to watch the group that does have the difficulty, does have the problem. We all know what that is. We all know who they are, especially if they have a medical problem. If they have a medical problem, diabetes or heart or anything, it's a big problem. But we're being very careful. But we have to open the schools. Would you agree with that? Do you agree? Yeah. We have to open the schools. We have to get them open. And I think there's a lot of politics going along. I think they think they'll do better if they can keep the schools closed in the election. I don't think it's going to help them, frankly, but I think they feel that by keeping schools closed, that's a bad thing for the country, and therefore that's a good thing for them. But they're the ones whose city's burning. I mean, can you imagine if the country was run like Chicago and like New York and like some of these other Democrat super radical left cities are run? You wouldn't have a country for very long, and the economy would crash. So we just set a brand new record today on NASDAQ again. This is now, I think, the 18th time since, and this is since after the problem. So we have a new stock market high for NASDAQ, and the other ones are getting very close. When I came here, the stock market was up almost 500 points today. The economy is rebuilding. Jobs are being produced at a record pace. We've never had a pace like this. And I will tell you, if Biden got in, this economy would be destroyed. You know, he was in office for 48 years, and what he did was not great. Almost every decision was a wrong decision, and now he's going to come in and try and help us. We didn't need any help. We built the greatest economy in history, greatest economy we've ever had, the greatest economy the world has ever seen. And then the plague came in from China, and we did the right thing. We had to close it down. Now we're opening it up.
Plague came in
He
from
can't
China.
do it. He doesn't have the capability to do it.
I was waiting for the president to end the sentence that he was on, but he wasn't doing it on his own. So I'm ending it for him.
Got to cut you off,
he
sir.
says so much, like he's got all of this stuff in his brain and he's rattling off all of this information, which just completely goes against what a lot of the mainstream media is putting out there about what's actually taking place in our country right now. And he just goes one after the other, all in the exact same tone with no periods.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you should see what I got on the webcam right
Yes.
now.
You've got two
Facebook.com/Annie Frey Show, or go to the YouTube page. Let me look here real quick before we go to a break at the YouTube page, because we are inching ever closer to 1,000 subscribers. We have 967.
Ooh.
So close.
I'm about to create some Gmail accounts and subscribe myself just to get to 1,000. Go to the YouTube page, or go to the Annie Frey YouTube page and click subscribe if you don't mind. If you've got to subscribe to share, because I have stuff to show you here on the webcam. This is not your everyday show.
You have a lot more liver spots than I'm remembering.
We haven't seen each other in so long.
Yeah, it's been a weekend, I guess.
Well,
whoa.
We'll be right back. Don't give it away. It's
Okay.
on the webcam. And also, Katie's hair today. We had some really good streaming numbers on our Facebook and our YouTube Live. And I'm getting some commentary that it might be due to Katie's hair. So you're going to want to see that
The
too.
internet's a buzz.
You should see the hair on my screen right now. It's pretty amazing. Perfectly coiffed, one might say. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air conditioner tune-ups are recommended each year to keep your cooling system running efficiently, prevent repairs, and extend its life. Schedule your AC tune-up and get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Dr. Scott Hardeman with Urgent Specialist was just on with us in the noon hour. If you missed that, go into radio.com right now, click the rewind button, and you can hear it at 12:25 is when it started. And he answered a bunch of our pressing questions about COVID-19. Well, he is just one of the specialists that's associated with Urgent Specialist. What is Urgent Specialist? It's urgent care, just like any other urgent care that you might attend to, but there's something a little extra special about Urgent Specialist located on Manchester, just east of Highway 141. Urgent Specialist offers specialty physician care as needed with the convenience and affordability of an urgent care. You get more for your dollar at Urgent Specialist than you are going to at other urgent care facilities. Ear, nose, and throat, orthopedic, ophthalmology physicians, all available on call at Urgent Specialist. By seeing emergency medical professionals trained by specialty physicians and having access to the physicians, you're going to get an accurate diagnosis the first time. You do not want to pass up the opportunity to get the right care, the best care the first time. Visit them online to learn more at urgentspecialist.com.
With spending more time at home, you may be noticing the scuffs and faded colors on your walls, the cracked, peeling paint on the outside of your home. Protect your home investment with quality painting from your local CertaPro painters. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated by men and women who live in our community. They are ready to help you and are taking precautions recommended by public health officials. Get a remote or on-site estimate from them today. Start your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Proven and trusted experts in painting.
It's one thing to be stuck in your house due to COVID-19. It's another thing to be stuck with a house. We have good news for homeowners listening throughout St. Louis. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is still buying houses. More importantly, we offer sellers a completely virtual selling process that maintains social distancing standards. Sell your home now. Call Chris today and get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call 314-782-7000. Can't collect rent? Not a problem. We buy My Tenant Won't Pay Me the Rent houses as well as vacant houses. We buy houses as is and deal with any situation. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call Chris today and get your house sold. 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Hey guys, Glover here from my very good friends at ThrottleNet. So if you ever listen to one of these recorded ads, listen to this one. A company can expect 232 targeted cyber attacks per year that results in 30 breaches. 24% of businesses hit with malware took a week or more to regain access to their data. Many businesses just flat go under. They are targeting small towns. They are targeting dentist offices. They are targeting big businesses. They're targeting government, you're going to get hit. Let me tell you about ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet has saved their clients more than $2.6 million in ransom last year alone. And get this. ThrottleNet clients have never paid a dime in ransomware. Let me say that again. They've never paid a dime because they are protected. No contracts. Leave anytime you want. You have to check these guys out. You'll find them at throttlenet.com to protect your business, to protect everything you have. Go to throttlenet.com.
Dear beloved bathroom, you've had quite a few interesting looks over the years, but the time has come to forget the fads and go with a timeless look that will always be in style. Let's give Mosby Building Arts a call. We can count on them to handle our bathroom remodel from start to finish. All we have to do is sit back and accept compliments on our fabulous new look.
Have a dated bathroom? Call Mosby at 314-909-1800 or visit callmosby.com.
Mosby Building Arts. Home never felt so good.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
I'm retiring after 25 years.
So Rob, congratulations.
Tell you what, guys, bad mornings, and we were just busy all night. You guys kept me laughing my butt off. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun listening to you guys.
Well, don't stop.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
She got out of town on a railway, New York bound, to call except my name. Another alien on Broadway. Well, some things in this world you just can't change. Some things you can't see until it gets too late. And baby,
Thank you for tuning in to the Annie Frey Show. Appreciate you being here. I wonder how many people saw my gigantic Donald Trump head that I have in here. You know, doesn't everybody have one of these?
Just laying around the house.
My 7-year-old had a girlfriend over to play last week, and they came in and they're like, her friend goes, "What are those?" And my daughter's like, "Those are the presidents." And then my daughter goes, "Which one are we rooting for?" I go, "You're 7. You're not rooting for any of them."
Just keep playing, Jensen. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
No kidding. Do not fret. Unless this one gets elected, then your future is over.
I must say,
Yeah, we're not rooting for anybody, but here's what's at stake, little kids.
it was a
Leave it to
group
me.
effort picking those photos. I
Oh
think
my gosh.
we picked them out, and then I'm like, wow, that turned out really well.
Katie,
Those
tell
are perfect.
the folks about the effort to get the big heads ordered, and then the 2 days after receiving them, we all got sent home.
Yep, it was months.
And they were wringing their hands over the difference between spending 150 and 180 bucks.
Absolutely.
We wasted all of it.
It was months we were talking about getting these big heads, and for some reason it just wouldn't add up. We just couldn't get our butts in gear. And then, like you just said, Annie, probably Monday we got the order in and they came into our office. And Friday is when we found out, okay, everyone's actually
It's your
going
last
home.
day in the studio.
You know what else
So-
happened right around when we got those? We remember when the dominoes fell and Beto O'Rourke dropped out, then Amy Klobuchar
Yes.
dropped out. That happened, I think.
After we ordered it. Before
Yes,
we got
right after we ordered those.
But no, we didn't have not Beto. We had Elizabeth Warren and we had
Mike Bloomberg.
That's what,
Mike
not
Bloomberg.
Beto. Yeah.
Yeah. That was way earlier.
Right.
But we got these heads because the big story for 2020 was going to be the election. And I had so many, I did one creative video, which you can see on the YouTube page, the Annie Frey YouTube page, of Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Somebody was at the printer. I can't even remember what it was, but we threw it together real fast. Oh, and by the way, we were at 967 subscribers on our Annie Frey YouTube page. We're up to 984. So just 600 before we get to the actual 1,000, 16, whatever. I'm doing too many things at once. So
Just 600 more people in the next
That's
5
it.
minutes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, do that. So we were going to put together, we were going to go into St. Louis. It was Joe Biden. Oh, it's Bernie Sanders at the printer handing out Joe Biden for Senate.
yeah,
Because Joe Biden said he was running. I'm Joe Biden running for United States. I'm watching it right now. Katie, I'm sending it to you. It's so
Perfect.
funny. But we got this massive Bernie Sanders head on one of our salespeople, and he's just handing out one person to the other in the office, Joe Biden for Senate. And
Yeah.
we were going to do so many creative things like that.
I said
And now we
Beto
have-
O'Rourke, but it was actually Buttigieg, because we still have Buttigieg. We didn't do anything with some of those heads.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a Buttigieg?
I think so. I'm almost positive we do. I'm going to have to go look in the back. There's somewhere back there. Once upon a time, we were supposed to be doing something fun. Now it's Corona.
Eduardo says, is Joe Biden still Joe Biden's husband? I don't know. Who am I to judge?
Many, many gaffes ago, he said he was running for Senate.
There are many videos to be had with candidates still have dropped out. I think we can do this somehow. I just forgot about them. Forgot we even had them.
Well, I have them now, so
Yeah.
never mind. I took them. I have all sorts of fun things down here. I have this. This is kind of what started it all, the Taxpayer Revolt Rally, October 24th, 2008. This was the event we put together at the Collinsville VFW, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had probably 300 plus people show up. The governor showed up. That didn't do him any good. He didn't end up winning him the election. But that was the moment when I noticed that Illinois was ready for a change, that Illinois was ticked off and sick and tired of the way things were going. I don't know if it was too little too late, but on the Illinois Rising Facebook group that we have, and after we talked about it, because of that call, was saying, what can I do? And I suggested going to this Illinois Rising group. This group was created specifically for the purpose of getting Illinois back on track. And I kind of like snapped this weekend one night because I, first of all, couldn't sleep. It's not why I couldn't sleep, but it happened. I just had enough. So we create this Illinois Rising group, and we have almost 7,500 people who have found this group because of our community here on the Annie Frey Show, which is really amazing because these are people who are showing up to sign petitions, who are hosting petition signings for the first time in forever, and they are taking action. And that's what this is about. And then in this group, a lot of times people end up posting things about, supporting the police or about Black Lives Matter, about COVID, about wearing masks. And you know what? Everybody starts crabbing at everybody else. Everybody starts saying, well, if you're going to say that, then I'm not going to be here. And so I have people telling me I'm leaving this group because somebody says that I'm sick and tired of the misinformation on mask wearing. People should do it. And I'm leaving. And then I have other people saying, I'm sick and tired of people saying that we should wear masks. I don't think we should. So I'm leaving. And I'm like, don't you all get it? Like, this is what breaks us apart as a country. This is what breaks us apart as a state. I know in the state of Missouri, there are issues. Right to work is one of them. I know in the state of Missouri, right to work is one of those things where you got everybody going strong ahead and right to work. And then you split off and half of you go one way and half of you go other. And now you are 50% as strong as you were before. Well, folks, join Illinois Rising because we are going to do every single thing we can to keep that group centered towards taking our state back. And I want every Republican and every Democrat and every conservative and every liberal who wants to keep Illinois their home to feel welcome there so that we can get it back, because we are all on a plane headed for a crash landing. And it doesn't matter what party you're in, you're going to crash if we don't do something about it. And I think that's probably on a broader sense the case for any party right now. So if you'd like to join us, Illinois Rising, if you want to be one of the last 16 or 600 to subscribe to the page to get us over the top of 1,000, go to Annie Frey on YouTube, click subscribe. We appreciate you. Dave Glover Show coming up next.
So beat the drum with me.
Hey, Tim Jones here for my great friends at Universal Windows Direct. The weather has definitely warmed up here in the heartland. The sun's shining. Maybe that has you noticing your windows are not quite what you thought they would be after a rough winter and spring. Weathered and worn, letting possibly all that cool air in your home out from the AC, and your electric bills experiencing the result. Time to call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. They're more than just a replacement window company, a unique product they have, which is of a world-class design.